Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
We're going to have a good night here, my friends. We're going to have a very, very good night as we rock it out with Science Bob. I got a lot of questions for him now. Normally we have a guest for this show, but tonight we're going just Science Bob and I. I got way too much to ask him. Way too much to ask him. Before we bring in the legend himself, let's say hello to everyone in the chat room tonight. Race fan back in the gold medal position. Acryong with the silver. Nightmare goes from gold to bronze. The Michael Leger is here, everyone. The Michael Leger. And B, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Todd Purdon, Mennonite Abe, Stunning Samantha, Luscious Jules, Mark Longoria. Good to see you all. Hi, Grandpa Holland and John Swan, the gorgeous Magic Maiden. She'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. D.A. Roberts, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you back, especially after a great show last night. Man, people are still talking about it. Nicola, Music Heineck, or Muscle Heineck, pardon me. And our man Worsley, how you doing, guys? Good to have you all here. Penman, what's happening, Penman? And who else do we got here? Jurassic Joey, good to see you. The Scowling, Greg O'Brien is here. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio for Greg, to the right of the studio. Do not smile when you're around him. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby reporting for duty. Mr. Lurks-a-Lot, Double Tim, Latro, good to have you guys here. Worsley, thank you so much for that awesome super sticker and kicking off the super chat tonight. Very much appreciate your support and love of Spaced Out Radio, man. Thank you so much. Millennium, good to have you here. Lovely Linda Thompson. Marty Burback, what's happening, Marty? And who else do we got here in the chat room? The gorgeous Fidgety Aura. Linda Thompson, thank you for the super sticker. Very much appreciate your love and support of this show. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much, my dear. Noble Patrick, Phil Minervino, Jason, 688. How you guys doing? Magnus Zerum, Vash the Impaler, the Raz, how you doing? The gorgeous Cosmic Floor. And who else is joining us? Mr. Man, Mr. The stunning Brandy Phillips has returned. It's a victorious return. Nona Boss, welcome to SOR Chat. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Digger Dog, Peppa H, nice to see you guys. Philip Blair is here. The Philip Blair. There he is. The Fapster, everyone. Take a bow, Fap. Take a bow. Downshift, Digger Dog, 405er, the gorgeous Avi May. Science Bob in the chat room. Thomas Rock, good to have you here. And Bear Eats Beats, how you been doing? The stunning Vixen Doe has returned. Vixen Doe. One sec. I got to start the radio side because we kind of need that. All right. Who else do we got in here? Natalie in the UK. Good morning to you. Welcome to SOR Chat. Ufologist, good to see you. And who else is here? Well, there's Thin Lizzie Borden, everybody. Thin Lizzie Borden looking lovely tonight. And the gorgeous and talented Kira has returned. And who else is joining us here? Rui Gonsalves, how are you? Welcome to SOR Chat. I think it's like your third time here, all the way from Portugal. Welcome. And who else is here? Doug Ward, good to see you, my friend. And let's see who else is joining us here. We're scrolling. Steve Wolf, good to have you back, man. And we're almost there. Running out of time. Gong Show. Good to see the Gong Show here. Cliff Sy, welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. And Wreaking Havoc, Big Bad John, how you doing? 416, Black Dragon, Semper Fi to you, one of our favorite veterans who listens to this show. We love our veterans around here. If you're a veteran, you always have a safe place right here in our chat room. Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you're in Austin, Texas, find Uncle Dale, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through tax time. Horns up, let's rock. From the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight as we bring in Science Bob and friends just momentarily. We're going all UFO with Bob tonight. Then in hour number 3, we're going to head off to the swamp with another spooky story from SwampDweller. Fedora John joins us with the UFO report. We're going to hit up Vancouver and join the shift right across Canada. And Shirky Poo's got the news. It is that time of the month once again where we bring in our resident scientific expert, Dr. Bob McGwier, known as Science Bob around these parts, to discuss the scientific side of the supernatural, paranormal, and ufological. Each month, Science Bob hangs out with us. Normally, we have a guest, but there's just way too much going on that I need to get Science Bob's opinion on tonight. Now, if you want to check his credentials, how about a PhD in applied mathematics from Brown University? Is BSEE Electrical Engineering and BS Applied Math from Auburn University, retired from Virginia Tech University, former spook. He's got 8 million satellites with his name on it up in space right now. Science Bob, always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I love me some Spaced Out Radio.
Let's go. You do. I know you do. And Bob, we are going to get very heavy into the subject tonight of UFOs because there is a lot going on. You know, it may be what we call a calm before the storm, but there is some weird stuff that has been going on that really, really needs to come to our attention.
Totally agree with you. New language in the Congress, even the middle of a war about UFO. Yeah, bunch of stuff going on.
All right, Bob, let's start off with the conflict in Ukraine here, okay? Now, there are reports, and I don't know how true they are, but there are reports that there are UFOs firing at Russian equipment. Not all of it, but it's mainly the machines and the artillery that were firing at a nuclear silo. Now, if we go into what people have told us, experiencers have told us, Bob, that the extraterrestrials up there watching over us will never, ever allow us to get into a nuclear issue. Is this what we're seeing here, or are we seeing some sort of special human technology that is looking like lightning bolts falling from the sky onto the Russian military?
I've seen the videos, and and it is known that multiple countries in the world are working on directed energy weapons to replace uh, uh, exploding gunpowder, if you will, to propel a pellet. And the issue is it takes a lot of power to charge them. And I can't think of a way to do that that doesn't involve putting a serious nuclear power plant in orbit, which, of course, if the story is true, and it's not, and the aliens don't want us to have nukes in orbit or nuclear power in orbit, I think that's. But I've seen some of the videos, and it looks like those thermobaric weapons that got popped either had a mechanical deal and blew up, or they got scorched by something. And I've seen the videos, the things that look like lightning bolts striking them. But of course, those kinds of things are easily faked. So I think there's something to the story, because there's too many people in Ukraine claiming they've witnessed this happen.
Well, some of them of the reports that I'm hearing too, Bob, also have people saying that they are seeing these tic tacs in the sky. Now, of course, we have to be careful with everything, Bob, because the way to win a war is you have to win the media as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Propaganda is number one when it comes to a wartime situation. And with social media, it's ever become so much more important on the propaganda front. And look, we're not here picking sides. Everybody knows I'm Ukrainian by heritage. Okay. I'm third generation Canadian. And my great grandfather had to run away from the Ukraine when the Bolsheviks came in, murdered my great great uncle. Okay. And I'm kind of sore about that still. Even though it has nothing to do with me, I'm still kind of sore about it. But that's neither here nor there. When I put my journalist hat on, I have to be down the middle. I have to be the fair referee and know that it's not only the Russians who are playing propaganda, but it's also the Ukrainians and the West and everybody who's getting involved in between.
Yep. Well, I'm sure. Look, this is a war, and NATO and EU and the Ukrainians are on one side, and Putin and the people that work for him and are supporting him and running the army are on the other side. And propaganda. Look, the first thing that happens before and after a shot's fired in a war is the truth dies. So all we can do is take what evidence we can see and try to interpret it in some useful way. But I'm going to tell you, these lightning bolts, tic tac stories, they're getting kind of loud, and they stopped firing at the nuclear reactors. That they did do. They stopped.
Well, and that's what makes me wonder, Bob, where all of a sudden they've stopped shooting. We're not hearing the reports of all these weirdness happening now. I mean, what are we seeing? Tic Tacs? Are we seeing extraterrestrials? And I'm going to ask you this because I know it's woo. I know we're about the science here. Okay. But is there a possibility that what people are seeing could potentially be extraterrestrial?
So I just don't know the answer, but I damn sure pray it's true, because you may not want to take sides, but I kind of have. So I'm unhappy that the poor people in the Ukraine are having to run for cover. Just I got really emotional this morning. I mean, really, really upset. I saw a video of these refugees walking down the road away from the bombing and the fighting. And there was this little 10-year-old boy. He had no one with him. He
But a
was
phone
walking. He was walking down the road crying, and it really got upsetting to me. So I'm upset. So, I hope the Tic Tacs are intervening to keep whatever's going on from messing up the nuclear reactors.
All right, from the Ukraine, let's head over to Canada here for a second, because Bob, I was working on a story for 2 years,
Yep,
and it finally came to fruition last week
certainly did.
when Canadian member of parliament out of the beautiful province of Manitoba, Larry McGwier, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, starts asking the Standing Committee on Natural Resources about UAP or drone sightings around Canadian nuclear energy facilities. He even brought up the fact that he has reports on 3 of these incidents that have happened recently over the years and wanted to know what we are doing about it. Look, Bob, it's no secret that in the United States, you guys have a lot of cool toys to play with. But it's also very naive of us to think that what we are seeing in the sky is strictly human and human touched and made, with to the cheapest bidder, so to speak. But it's also extremely naive to think that it isn't happening north of the border as well.
Well, so look, we had this massive tranche of UFO files that the Canadians claim, they haven't had a nuclear of a UFO program forever, and of course now they're releasing lots of these files. Grant Cameron got some, others got them. I mean, it's clear the Canadians have been involved since Smith was involved back in the 50s and 60s. I mean, it's just always been clear that Canada is right next to us and has been our good friend forever. And they were involved in this UFO stuff just like everybody else because they were at Shag Harbor. They were other places. They've been involved since the get-go, and now it's really finally coming out.
Well, this is what I'm very concerned about, Bob, because the Canadian media has not picked up this story. Outside of Daniel Otis, Victor Vigiani, what I have reported on Saga 960, where we broadcast out of Mississauga, Ontario, nobody has reported on this. Yep. And I am baffled. I was talking to Victor Vigiani a few hours ago before showtime, and we were talking about, okay, the media isn't picking this up. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? And I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm reaching out to MP Larry McGwier and his assistant because I want an interview. We need to talk about it. We need, as a medium, to get McGwier on record for us.
You need to get all McGuires on the record.
Well, he's a Maguire. You're a McGuire.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm poking fun at you. But look, I guarantee you that you're a journalist. You know that's the right thing to do. Call the guy and his staff up and poke him with a question and see if you can't get him on the record.
No, very, very much so, and that is exactly what we need to be doing. Okay, we need to get him on the record. But how important is this to the United States government now that this has officially entered Canadian politics?
Well, look, I believe that on this issue, given the past 70 years of history, that the Canadians have pretty much followed our lead on this subject. And that has always, I'm sure it seems to you, but it has always seemed to me strange that they have just always followed our lead. And now we have the new enabling language in the budget resolution, which is about to pass both houses and go to the president, where all of this stuff we saw in the National Defense Authorization Act is getting funded and moving forward. So it's just, and with a few more additions to cover up some things that they left out of the first round. I mean, it's kind of really interesting. And so I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, the story will be Chris Mellon was brilliant in the way he got Congress to act, along with help externally and in the media by Lou Elizondo. And the Canadians seem to be walking in lockstep with us and are finally moving toward disclosure. And if we get to UK, it'll be amazing.
Well, and this is exactly it. I mean, it will be fantastically amazing because I think what it does is it opens up a lot of doors. I know here in Canada, we literally are part of NORAD, which seals the North. It opens up the Five Eyes, which is New Zealand, Australia, England, or the United Kingdom, America, and Canada. It opens up a lot of heavy types of sight of what's going on. And from what I have learned, the Five Eyes are all in communication
Yep.
about UFOs. What do you
Yep.
know about that?
So I don't know the details about the internal communications, because you remember everything I ever saw on this that kind of got my curiosity up, and then eventually led me to Dolan and Christopher Bledsoe, was people showed me stuff, which is not uncommon inside the community, especially if all they're showing you is evidence that's unclassified internally, and don't really tell you the dirt behind there that's highly classified. So I just don't know the details of these high level interactions because I've been out of the game now for 2 years.
Okay, and I understand that, and I can appreciate that. But is it important to North American national security that this is now literally on the table in Canadian politics?
I absolutely believe it is, because we're seeing activity along the coastlines involving both of our uh, militaries and involving nuclear things on either side of the border. I think it's important that we work together.
Well, you know what? I want to just be able to say that I'm willing to work on that. I'm
Yeah.
willing to put my binoculars up in the sky to see what's going on, but it is exciting times, and my question is, do you think the timing is interesting? And the
Yes.
reason why I say that is recently it's that we've kind of been in a lull until Lou Elizondo, who we're going to get into next, has started all of a sudden going on a plethora of podcasts out there and radio shows and everything. And all of a sudden it seems like we're ready for this uptick again. And now Canada gets involved.
Well, and the thing, so again, we have to recall the context. All the Western governments are totally consumed by preparing to face a new megalomaniac in a war. And still, the UFO stuff is moving with enabling language and multiple governments getting involved. I mean, our Ross Coulthard is talking about things going on in Australia, and we hear stuff in Canada, and Canada releases this tranche of documents, and it just seems strange that there's this forward momentum, even as we are totally preoccupied with a war. It's just something's going on, Dave, and we better keep our ear to the ground and our eyes open.
First, defense of North America, the fact that it is now brought out up here in Canada, Bob, that they were called drones. We have to call them UAPs since we don't know what they are. All right. That it is now happening at our nuclear facilities. Canada, for the record, does not have any nuclear weapons. It is a nuclear-free country since, I believe, the 1980s. I don't
Yep.
even think we've ever even had a nuclear weapon, to be honest. But we do have nuclear energy facilities.
Yep.
They're all based on the East Coast. And I'm curious, Bob, now that it is public that these are going over, we learned and we've known for a while that there has been tic tacs over nuclear weapons facilities in the US, but now that we know it's over Canada as well, how does that change the dynamic for people who are studying the natural resources or the nuclear facilities, trying to track what these things are doing?
Okay, so again, Canada is a sovereign country. It's not the United States. In the United States, we have NNSA, which is the Nuclear Security Agency for our country, and Canada has its own deal. And so I don't know how all of that. I'm just not familiar with how all of that works in Canada. But I assure you, they are deeply concerned that unknown flying things, which Christopher Mellon got on multiple shows and said his own personal interpretation is it's probably ET. I mean, he said it on a video. And so this is the guy that's behind all the movement in the United States. In fact, I believe he actually sat down with Gillibrand's staff and actually helped write the NDAA. And he's saying he thinks it might be ET. Yeah, I think something's going on, and it's going on in spite of the war.
Oh, I agree with you. There is something going on. I'm just wondering if we have to be looking at patterns. Patterns are what excites me.
Yeah,
When
yes,
when
we
you know
do.
Okay, so what would those patterns be now that we know, or even the American government knows, it's now happening in Canada at their nuclear facilities as well?
Well, I think whatever the Americans were going to do or have been doing, they're already doing it, and they have been working with the Canadian military, the RCMP, and others that might be involved in dealing with things that are going on around these nuclear facilities. And because we are just really close allies. We have bickering fights every now and again, but when the big issues, we are really close allies. And the United States has not gone to war or without Canada by its side in a long, long time. So I'm just telling you, these kinds of security issues, uh, our president calls your prime minister, and is irrespective of which party has the White House and which party is in leads Parliament in Canada. They work together pretty closely. There's occasional bickering, but on the big issues, there's not. And so it seems to me that we are seeing, with the release of all these documents, Canada gearing up to work in concert with us on whatever this is.
Well, and I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions regarding this because we only have 2 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Is this good that we now know that it's public in Canada? How good is this, not only on a political side, but a public side, not only for ufology, but for the entire phenomena?
So I have not yet seen anything that's come out of the NDAA or internal to the U.S. government or internal to Canada that's actually good for ufology in terms of somebody's finally going to tell us the truth about Shag Harbor and Roswell. Like two major incidents, one on one side of the border and one on the other, or right on the border in case of Shag Harbor. I just don't see anything that says we, the people that are just curious as heck, are finally going to get told so. But I do see absolute insistence in the United States that Congress be informed by everybody that knows anything. And so, look, I mean, Whitley Strieber wrote this book called Majestic, and Dick D'Amato, who was Senator Byrd's staffer, and went around and was ordered by Byrd to find out who was funding the UFO secrets and where they were held and what they were about. And D'Amato called Jesse Marcel to Washington and threw Whitley Strieber's book on the table and said, "Look, I just want you to know that what that book is supposedly a novel. It's the truth." And it was Roswell, aliens, everything Jesse Marcel went through. D'Amato told his son that it was all true. And Whitley Strieber wrote this book, Majestic, and everybody ought to read that book.
Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Science Bob McGwier is here. He is our resident scientist, breaking down the who, what, where, when, why, and how of all things paranormal, supernatural, and ufological. And when we come back, I want to talk about the Bledsoes. Bob is very close to the Chris Bledsoe family, and son Ryan made kind of a strange comment on another podcast that I want to get Bob's opinion on. We'll be right back. Science Bob and Friends continues on Spaced Out Radio when we return. All right, Science Bob, we're clear.
All right. Go take care of your buddy.
Yeah, I'll be right back. You
All right.
just hang crowd.
Yep. I'm gonna talk to him in chat.
Fast asleep and a German Shepherd right at the floor of the bed to make sure that nothing happens to his buddy.
Oh, I love a dog.
Oh, yeah. That was a quick first half hour, man.
Oh, it was fun. You and I always have fun.
I know. It just went by really fast, though.
Yep. It always does when we get into it.
I know. Makes me happy. Greg, say copy that question, Greg. I will ask it in the second hour. I promise you. All right. I just have a different angle that I got to go with right now with Bob.
Oh my goodness, I'm excited. Kira Angel is going to give me a hug in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. We got a number of people. We're up to 43 listeners who are going to be joining us in Vegas. I'm stunned.
And Darcy's coming, and I'm getting videoed for his upcoming.
He told me today he couldn't make it.
Oh, okay, great. Well, the last I heard was before today. He was trying to move things so he could come, but Darcy Ware and our friend Dave, they've got things cooking.
Right. No, little Davey Altman is in the chat room somewhere.
I know Davey's got to be here if the two of us are hanging out. Davey Altman, my man.
All right. Yeah, little Davey Altman, wherever you are, the call has been put out. Where are you, little Davey Altman?
So surely he's coming to the UFO con with you.
I don't know if he's coming to San Francisco. I did invite him to Las Vegas. He said he was going to check his schedule and see if he could make it. Las Vegas, April 22nd to 24th at the Golden Nugget. It's a free-for-all, and we are going to be hanging on out, or we're for number 44 with J.G. Hartwell. He's coming too. He booked today. And it is a free-for-all. We're all going to be hanging out, sharing some woo. We got a live show, a live 3-hour show in the Golden Nugget at one of the conference rooms. Lynn Wallington's going to run that. And we got some big people coming, man. Big people. I know. I've been told by a bunch of them. Yeah. You know what? Our lineup for guests who have been on this show is better than any conference you will go to this year.
I totally agree. And you know what? Monday night, you ought to make another invitation.
Oh, it'll be next year. Oh, to who? Monday.
Who are you trading interviews with on Monday?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. You
gotta ask.
Well, I don't want the thunder to be taken away, though. That's my
I get it. No, I didn't say on air.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna bust chops in the background.
Big thank you to Worsley, Linda, Cat Chaser, and Jeremy for the super chats. Here we go, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciative to be earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone out there, and remind you that we can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Science Bob and friends here tonight. Dr. Bob McGwier is with us as he comes in, mid-month, each month to talk about the who, what, where, when, why, and how. Nothing woo, even though I try and sneak it in. Dr. Bob McGwier, how you doing?
Doing super duper.
All right. I got to ask you, you were very close to the Bledsoe family.
Yep.
And for people who do not know the Bledsoe family, it all started with Chris Bledsoe a number of years ago where he had an encounter.
2007.
Yeah. And it all started with major experiences and predictions and healing and everything. Now, I personally think and that he's the real deal. I know he's the real deal. But his son Ryan, who's a very good young man, came out recently on a podcast where he made a little bit of a controversial statement, I think. And the gist of that is he has a tough time believing experiencers, stories, and events that have happened to him because they are not similar to what his family has gone through. And therefore, because the stories are so much different than what he and the rest of the Bledsoes have experienced, that he doesn't put much faith into whether or not they are real or not. I found that very incredulous. I really did.
Let me say first, I did not hear it, and I have never heard Ryan say that before, so I'm going to have to go listen. But if he said that, I'm with you. I'm incredulous because let me explain to you why. Chris and his family, from 2007 until 2011 or 12, whenever it was, the lady came. They went through hell, Dave. They really went through it. They were persecuted by local people. Chris was driven out of his church. It was really bad. I mean, he suffered terribly from rheumatoid arthritis and had to sell his business and get out. So they've been through it. And so given all of that experience, and I know Ryan to be a really gentle, compassionate, empathetic person, for him to say, I don't have empathy for others because I only believe our story, that seems out of character. So I'm going to have to go listen to it. But outside of that, I feel uncomfortable commenting on something I haven't heard.
Okay. The only reason why I said that is it caught me off guard, Bob.
Yeah, it's really, I bet and for that reason, I'm having a hard time believing it, just like you.
And it was put all over UFO Twitter regarding this. And look, here's the one thing that I have learned about experiencers. Bob, your experiences are much different than mine. And we know you've had experiences. They're much different than the great people in our chat rooms or the great people who are listening with us tonight, wherever they may be. And for some reason, this phenomena has the ability to make sure that each and every one of us has something a little bit different than what everybody else does. For instance, a little one for me, everybody sees black triangles with the 3 dots. The black triangle I see has an entirely lit up undercarriage. Why is it different? Why can't I see what everyone else is seeing? Now I have to explain mine was different. And it just seems to roll that way at times, man. And is this just one of the mysteries that we have to put up with this phenomena?
Look, I've been reading Charles Fort, John Keel, and Jacques Vallée since almost the earliest days I got in here, where I found that the people that were most respected writing about the phenomenon were people that were saying it's not just UFOs and things appear different to everyone. And then Jacques Vallée wrote Passport to Magonia, and he talks about fae, fairies, etc. And it's just, the phenomenon is weird. It's kind of this interaction with our consciousness and I don't know what it's for, because even though I have seen things, felt things, and interacted with things, I have not received a message that I can remember. Okay, so I don't know what is actually going on. I just faithfully report what has happened to me, which is, I think, the best thing that I can do is refuse utterly to embellish on my stories by speculating out in the open when I don't have any evidence. I mean, that's just contrary to my internals. So I'm everything I read from the most respected people in this field for the last 100 years says it's different with everyone.
Bob, I'm going to read a transcript here from, because I just found it from the Ryan Bledsoe quote here. So that way we have it right. Okay.
Good, good. Yeah, that's what
All
we
right.
want to do.
So the person who is interviewing him, and I'm not going to mention this guy because this guy tried to screw me over, and I don't think he's worth the dog poop
Free
on my shit.
publicity. Yeah.
Yeah. And the question that was asked was, there's such a wide variety of experiences, though. I mean, I've asked a lot of people, but what do you think about the whole abduction phenomena of like alien grays and probes and experimentation and that kind of stuff? I mean, do you think that's just a cultural lens, or is that, uh, or is that, and do not believe those, and you do not believe those stories? And Ryan says, I do not believe those stories, and let me tell you why. Because, as you know, I've been dealing with this incredible phenomena since I was literally 13 years old. And I mean, most kids, when they are 13, especially of our generation, they're playing video games, they're going home, and they're talking about girls, like they are not seeing light beings in the sky. It was kind of a shocking twist to my childhood. And ever since I was a small child, I've really had this on the front of my mind every day, pretty much my life, and really just kind of just marinated in this lifestyle, and I just want to make that very clear. It's basically the main part of my life is this experience is the UFOs anyway. And from everything that I've experienced since I was young, I have never seen any sort of classical alien phenomena. I hold on.
I'm absolutely. Let me stop you right there. I'm absolutely shocked if that is what he said. His father and his oldest brother on the Fear River in North Carolina saw alien craft land across the river from where they were fishing, and Chris Bledsoe was abducted and taken aboard a craft and shown things. I just find it really hard to believe that Ryan would say that when that contradicts his father's own story.
Well, let me continue here. He goes, I wouldn't be so, I wouldn't be so sure to say that that kind of thing does not exist. But the very reason that I don't believe that truly happens is I've never met anyone incredible that looked me in the face and told me they were brought on a ship. And I'm like, I feel like you're telling me the truth. I've just never met anybody that was credible with that kind of story and I've met thousands of people throughout my life, coming to our house, seeing us on TV, thousands or at least 1,000, being like a popular target for being studied for UFOs. Reason number two, I've been told by different intelligence officials that 95% of the crap that you see on the internet about UFOs and TVs and movies, it's all programming. It's all tricking the masses. None of it is real. It's all fake. It's all disinformation. And I honestly believe that, I haven't seen anything that suggested otherwise.
That contradicts his father's own story. I'm just telling you, it does. So I don't know what's going on. And look, I love Ryan. He's a great guy, but that contradicts his father's story. So I'm at a loss, and I don't feel that I ought to speculate on what is going on there. But I gotta tell you, Ryan and all of the kids, they had to deal with a lot of crap. I mean, Emily was with Chris when he took John Alexander to the Cape Fear River, and a classic UFO appeared right above the car when Chris says, I think they're here. John looks up and there's a UFO. I mean, this is just classical UFO stuff, but it's also the weirdness and the woo that happens with this phenomenon. And Ryan knows these stories. I just don't know what's going on, and so
Well,
I don't want to
I'm gonna
really
speculate.
speculate what's going on in his mind.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to speculate. And I will say this, people who come into this field, all right, they tend to get very, very egotistical if their time is wanted. And I think as humble as the Bledsoe family is, and as humble as Ryan has been, he's been on this show a couple of times. I would have him on again. But I think ever since he started his podcast, he has started going down that know it all attitude. Now, look, we don't know. I personally don't know what it's like to have CIA agents, NASA agents, and everybody in between agents and college university professors coming in to study whether it's Diana Pasulka and whether it's the Pope himself calling up the Bledsoes. And we know that's happened. That is on record.
Yep.
Okay, that has happened. I
Yep.
don't know what that's like, but what I do know is you cannot put the phenomena in one small glass.
You
The
cannot.
phenomena is everywhere. Everything is phenomena. And I love that word, phenomena, without an N on the end. Okay. And I think that because this is the family he comes from, I think there's a little bit of arrogance and in the popularity that is built up inside him a little bit. I don't mind saying that. Yes, it's a little controversial. Do I like Ryan? Yes, I do. Would I have him back on the show? 100%. But you can't sit there and say that you don't believe people who've been abducted by aliens, because I sure as hell would like to know what's gone on with me. I know I wasn't in my own world, making this up. I don't want this. Anybody who has ET issues does not want it. Maybe
I mean, look at Melinda Leslie and Samantha Mowett's life and stories that they've told. Who would willingly go through all that? Yeah, I don't know
Exactly.
I don't know what's going on, and I'm just going. I don't know what he's thinking about.
So, I mean, does that hurt what we were trying to solve?
To the extent that the goal for people who work with Chris is to find out what's going on, and in my case, is find out what's going on with some actual evidence, and then support what I personally have witnessed with actual evidence, so that people believe Chris has had some experiences. I didn't have Chris's experiences, but I absolutely want to have I want to support with evidence that everyone believes the experiences that anyone who can get close to Chris will have if they go there. And the stuff has followed me home. I mean, 1 month ago, I'm sitting on the couch in my living room, and this super bright white orb comes and sits down beside me on the couch. I mean, it was floating in the air, but it was so brilliant it hurt my eyes. And I have the triangle of orbs out in my front yard. I have the blinking thing come down the tree and go under the trees in my backyard. This stuff is real. I don't give a blankety blank what anybody says. And I don't know that I've been abducted, but I don't know that others have been abducted, except what they tell me. And I believe they had these experiences, and it's all part of the phenomena, and we all want data.
Data. The one thing that we cannot get.
Yep.
My goodness. It's like me and Taco Bell. I got a better chance of getting UFO and alien data than I do a taco around here, Bob.
Well, get across the border and get a taco, and we go to Las Vegas. I'm already going to bring you some overalls.
Yes. That just made my night. So the other day, now I got to explain it. The other day, I'm chatting with Bob on camera, and he's got this badass pair of overalls on. And I was like, I want some overalls, man. And he's like, well, they're just like $20 down at the store over here. I'll pick you up a pair. So now I'm going to get some overalls. I'm going to rock them. in Vegas, man. I'm going to
Oh yeah,
rock.
I'm wearing them. I'm going to Tractor Supply and get you a pair.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm very, very happy about that. That just made my night. Let's shift gears here to Luis Elizondo.
Yeah, that's a good
Bob,
topic.
all right. I want to get a little bit deep on this, Bob, because Elizondo is a highly, highly controversial person in this field.
Yep.
And I will say, you know, I'm glad that he has been on this show a couple of times. We've
Yep.
had some very good conversation. I have talked to the gentleman off the air a couple of times. I've maybe talked to him 6 times, 7 maybe total. We will be having him back on Spaced Out Radio next month at the end of April as he winds down his media tour for the last couple of months, March through the beginning of May. And there seems to be more and more controversy building around Elizondo, and there is this entire brawl that is happening between those who think he's just a disinformation agent to those who think he is the second coming of Christ. What is going on and with this entire situation and controversy here, Bob?
Okay, look at the entirety of UFO history, and it is just the same old tune being played over again. You had Hillenkoetter, you had all these people that have come and brought stuff up, and people that trust them, and people are looking for confirmation bias, have confirmation bias, and they're looking to support their biases, so they want to support them. But there's something being hidden. You do not behave the way the government has behaved unless there is something being hidden. And furthermore, whoever is in charge of the hiding is powerful enough to command vast forces that put out disinformation and trashing people if they don't want the story out. And I believe that Elizondo has taken on the role of being the lightning rod, the person that stirs the pot, and he is taking these slings and arrows for the good of us. So the story gets out. Mellon is the guy working behind the scenes, going up to Congress and helping people he used to work with in Congress write laws and things to get the story out. While Elizondo, who is a national hero, is going around stirring up the stuff and telling parts of the story and driving the people who want the stuff kept secret crazy inside, and they're going after him by putting crap out.
I would agree with you on that. Okay. And the idea behind it is I think this got very much stirred up as about a month ago the Who's Lou documentary came out. Some people say it is about time that some tough questions were asked. Others are saying it's a complete hit piece on Elizondo himself. Now, that's not really for today's discussion because I think that that bear has been beaten pretty hard over the last few weeks.
Yep.
But does Elizondo deserve the controversy that he is receiving, Bob?
I think he fully expected it from the beginning. Fully expected it. And he went to Leslie Kane and Ralph Blumenthal and Helene Cooper, and he handed them a ton of evidence that says, I am who I say I am. You already know this is Chris Mellon. And he expected to be attacked because he was trying to do something that no one has successfully done before, and that's get this story out. Get this story out there. Yeah, and Lou Elizondo made himself a target, and he knew it was coming. He knew it was.
Do you think he was ready for as much vitriol as he has been receiving?
The
I mean,
guy is a smart guy, and he can read history.
well, and the reason why I ask is, I mean, this is a man who has had death threats, both publicly and behind the scenes. with emails and messages. This is somebody who has, that people have gone out to try and dox his family.
Yep.
All right. His daughters, his financials, they're searching for his military records, which are, in my opinion, probably will never see the light of day due to the fact that he was special operations and they don't really
counterintelligence. It's
and
counterintelligence.
counterintelligence, but I want to ask you this question in regards to it. I mean, you've been in the CIA, you've been part of the NRO, and that's public knowledge that we have expressed on this show. How dangerous is it for a member or former member of the NRO or CIA to be doxxed, or counterintelligence to be doxxed publicly the way Elizondo is being hammered by people?
I think it's very good that he has Danny Sheehan on his side fighting to keep his clearance so he can keep working as he needs to. Because, basically I retired and I started talking about this stuff after my experiences listening and working with Richard Dolan and going to see Chris Bledsoe and talking about my experiences, becoming friends with you, coming on this show and talking about stuff, starting UAPTN and then helping Skyhub start, even though that has come to an end. I'm certain it upset people, and I can tell you, I got asked to work on a project which required a security clearance, and the people that wanted me to work on this project could not get it okayed. You get blackballed, and Elizondo is fighting effectively against being blackballed. He's made Susan Goff look like a fool, in my opinion. Because she's told lies in public about Elizondo, and it's turned around and bitter because he had the right proof. He went to the people in Congress. They demanded the actual records, and they proved that Elizondo was telling them the truth. So I'm just telling you, he clearly understood this was going to happen because he has mounted an internal defense because he understands the levers of the system. He understood he needed to go to the Pentagon when they were beginning to threaten him and his livelihood with crap. He went there with a well-known civil rights lawyer to the inspector general and stirred up a ton of crap and got them to back off. So he knew this was coming. I'm sure it's unpleasant. I'm sure his family wishes it was not like this, but it is, and he knew it was going to be this way, and he has acted effectively to foil it.
Well, it is a very interesting situation because, this guy is taking lefts and rights and uppercuts and everything that's going on right now, from his supporters and from his detractors. I mean, Bob, we're going to continue this conversation when we return because I think we got to go a little bit more into this. We will get into audience questions as well. Hour 2 of Science Bob and Friends continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. Hour 2 coming up. All right, we're clear.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. All right. First off, newcomer Muscle Heineck. We don't insult people like that. If you want to act like the other chat room, you can go to that other show's chat room. We don't make comments like that about people in our chat rooms. So that's why your comment was deleted. And Fabster, this is strict right now. There we go. You've never seen me have to do that, Bob. Mm-hmm. 1 hour down.
The chat room is getting a little feisty.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see Tom Fessler here. Thank you, Tom.
I have no problem with hot button debate. No problem.
No, but don't get personal and ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. Seagull says, we don't even know if that video exists. We don't even know.
Which
And,
video?
well, apparently, there's a rumor going around that Elizondo was in a private chat showing a UFO video that was just a real haymaker.
Well,
And
if it's the one I've been told about, and I hope it is, man, I hope it gets out.
right.
Science fiction. That was the quote.
Well, the fact is, apparently, this was shown to 5 different podcasters,
Okay.
and the people
I
who
don't know
brought
how
it,
I don't know how I don't know how he got it out.
I don't know either, but I can't see him doing that.
Oh, so I got to tell you, look, he may be beginning to feel some level of immunity because there's high level protection for him in Congress and in the IG's office. So he might get a little more bold, but I don't know. But look, again, all I'm doing is speculating. I haven't seen what video he's showing. I've been told about something that's science fiction. So, and it sounds to me like that's the deal, but I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
But I'm ready for a video to come out where we can see the rivets in the seams.
Apparently, it was members of the debrief and the Miami Twins. I have no idea who the Miami Twins are.
Who might like Tim?
Well, yeah, by the debrief as well as some. So I'll ask Tim. I have no.
Hey, look, I've asked Tim, and if Tim says it's true, you can take it to the bank. I have never seen McMillan even come close to slanting the truth. He is a straight up ace of a guy.
I'll message Tim later. Find out.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
Yeah, just ask Tim. Look, there are no standards in ufology because there's no standards body controlling ufology. It's not like the National Science Foundation or DARPA, which have rules. Ufology has no rules because it's a bunch of people running around trying to find out stuff that they don't really have access to because it's classified. And so people make up crap. People want to be important. They want to feel good. And ufology attracts the best and the worst.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And by the way, my chat room is open to anybody. Anybody who wants to come in here, they can come in here, but they got to play by the rules. So just because other people may not like other people in our chat room, doesn't matter. Everyone's welcome. Just play by the rules.
Yeah, leave the personal crap elsewhere.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. We know where they can go, and we won't even mention it.
Yeah. We got like a minute. TMI, how you doing, buddy? I want to say a big thank you to Worsley, Linda, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Science Bob, Kira, and Thomas for the amazing super chats. Hello, stunning Stephanie Jackson. Welcome back. And we'll put up a hi, everybody. Good evening. There we go. And yeah, it's all good. 7:04 a.m. You must be in the UK or somewhere, TMI. Roll call. Where's everybody from? 20 seconds.
Julie and I are from Alabama.
There is no channel that the Lou vid is shown. There is no vid that we know of right now. Gong Show.
But it sounds to me like the battlefield is being prepped by a officer.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Joram. Joram is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Science Bob and Friends. Dr. Bob McGwier comes in once a month to talk about everything weird and strange and breaking it down scientifically. Science Bob, welcome back.
Okay, so well, it's good to be here, Dave. I love doing this. So look, let's look at this like an intelligence analyst would look at it to discuss the behavior that you have reported about Lou Elizondo. Lou and others have been working for a long time to get this story out. But let's suppose that now Lou knows and has been told and has in his possession of a really high quality video that's going to be a game changer. And the battlefield is being prepped by people being shown some of the details before the story breaks. So that would be a completely normal way government people use media to get a story out. And especially if they realize it's going to be a big deal and change everything. So Lou and Chris want this office of UFO stuff to be funded. And if they get out something big and splashy that shows a lot, no one can deny, the budget goes up.
Okay. Could Elizondo be allowed to hold on to a video of that magnitude?
It depends on whether or not it's legally released. I just don't believe Lou will cross the line. So it may have been prep released, Lou prepared, he has the thing, he's told you have our permission to show it to people so long as you get our approval, and whoever they are. So I'm supposed it's the new UFO office.
Right. But the fact that he has that video,
Supposedly.
allegedly, why not release it?
Well, they have a release schedule. I mean, look, the news is dominated by the war. They want to drop it in when it can have an impact. They're not going to release stuff that doesn't have an impact. They want to drop it in there when it can have an impact and it won't be dominated by people worrying about tactical nuclear warheads being fired by Putin.
Okay, but to play devil's advocate here for a second, there was a lot of time in between where before this happened, he could have released it if he has it.
Again, if you listened to Jim Semivan and you listen to Lou, he has clearly got a sheet of music he is playing to. He's told us that things are going to come out in phases, and it's phase 1, phase 2, and this is going to be the next phase. And I think they and their allies have all of this planned, and this would be the kind of thing that would stir the pot again for whatever the next phase is.
I'm going to stir up that pot, Bob. I'm going to stir up that pot.
Go for
and
it.
It has nothing to do with Luis Elizondo. It has everything to do with the Pentagon about 4 months ago saying the word extraterrestrial.
Yep.
Bill Nelson from NASA saying extraterrestrials.
And the director of national intelligence saying extraterrestrial.
And then Jim Semivan coming out publicly about extraterrestrials.
Chris Mellon going on multiple things and saying extraterrestrials. I think the shoe is about to drop.
Well, if you noticed, for about a year, Sean Cahill went absolutely silent.
Yep.
For about a year. Now,
you know that I've been asking you what's going on with Sean Cahill.
Well, for the record, Sean Cahill and I used to talk at least once a week, sometimes more. And we haven't talked. And now all of a sudden, out of the blue, Cahill is doing podcasts again.
I think
Not
the battlefield is being prepped. That's what I think.
So my question is, has phase 3 started?
My belief is yes.
So explain to people what phase 3 is.
I believe it's where we're going to actually go from, it could be Russians, it could be Chinese, heck, it might even be the North Koreans, and it's going to be, oh, we ruled all that out, and hey, guess what? It's aliens.
Bingo.
That's what I think. That's what I think. I don't know, but that's what I think.
I've been told by my sources that phase 3 is extraterrestrial.
I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely sure of it. That and look, we have seen on NASA videos spacecraft flying around a satellite that was tens of kilometers away from the space shuttle. Clear, donut-shaped craft flying around. No comment from anybody in NASA. They just quietly stopped taking infrared videos of that and broadcasting them live when all that crap happened. We saw vehicles flying into the Earth's atmosphere, something fired at whatever this was in the ground, and it darted out of the way in clear NASA infrared videos. People know that this stuff is going on, and I think they figure it's time to tell something. And I just keep having this feeling that lots of people inside are preparing the people of the earth for something to be told. And we don't know what it is, but I just get this gut feeling, like you do, that it's about to be told it's aliens. And hey, by the way, the childhood's end aliens will be here in 10 years. They've told us they're coming.
So you think that maybe the timeline has been sped up?
No, I think that there was a timeline all along, and they're walking right along it. We went from 0 in Congress, where it looked like all we were going to get was crap out of the Pentagon, and a senator who has never had her name ever mentioned with the word UFO writes a blockbuster addition to a bill, and it is now law. And it means the President of the United States was involved in the okay to go with that language, or it never would have happened. Without them knowing that Biden was going to sign it and approve it, they never would have written it. It's just the way Washington works. Biden approves of this coming out. And so this is just amazing stuff that these tea leaves, it's got to be coming, and it's got to be aliens, because people are saying aliens out loud. That's your clue. Phase 3, we knew was coming. People are talking aliens. We're about to be told it's aliens, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's what's interesting to me. You know, then you're going to have the worry: is this a false flag? Is this not?
Well, that's what Stephen Greer will say. That's what Stephen Greer will say, is it's a false flag. But I don't know. You know, all I want to be told is some truth.
What is the truth?
Yeah, I want to be told.
What do you think the truth is?
That we're about to be told it's ET, and I don't know where they come from. Maybe they're ultra dimensionals, as John Keel would say.
Very true. Then what happens?
Ooh, I don't know. But because I don't have after that gets told, I don't have a clue what phase 4 is, unless it's prepare the people of the earth for the arrival.
The Arrival. Sounds like a movie.
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones called The Arrival. One with Charlie Sheen and one done by Denis Villeneuve on a terrific thing of a weird UFO in Montana coming down and stirring up the earth. Yeah, look, if these things are coming, it's time for them to show their face. And hopefully they will inspire us to be better than we are now.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out at you then. Are we getting closer then to maybe somebody like Lou Elizondo coming out and saying, this is what's happened to me?
I'm going to give you my own personal opinion. I believe Lou wants to get past whatever this is and slowly fade into the background. He's tired and wants out of it. And once that happens, he can go do what he wants to do. But I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't know. But Lou is a guy that wants to take care of his family because he's that kind of guy. And I think it's time for Lou to go take care of his family. So I think he's going to do like a good soldier. He's going to take the next step, and hopefully they'll let him go take care of his family.
I still think that he backs away. I really do. I would say within 2 years, Lou Elizondo
that's what I'm thinking. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I think Lou is ready to go to the background.
And if the pressure continues from the UFO crowd here to do what they are doing to him, I could see it even stepping up and happening quicker.
Depends on whether or not. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, he's a soldier, counterintelligence officer, carried an M4 in Afghanistan because we've seen the pictures. He's been in combat. He realizes it's rough, but he is a goal-oriented, mission-completing person. He will complete his mission and then retire. That's who he is.
Do you see a time when somebody from Washington picks up the slack regarding Elizondo? Do we see another Elizondo coming forward? Maybe that's Sean Cahill. Maybe that is someone else that we haven't known. We've seen Ryan Greaves, the former fighter pilot, now coming out recently, working with a UFO group.
Yeah,
that is trying to track these craft.
Yeah, off the Virginia coast. Yes. Yeah, Ryan Graves, he's been amazing. And he had the guts to go before Congress, intelligence community people, and tell his story while he was still actively a pilot with the Navy. He is a gutsy guy. And he has clearly stepping up to some kind of role with his new UFO venture.
The thing that concerns me about Ryan is he's not really talking about it publicly.
I think he has a page of instructions that are in the manual that they're all going by. This is orchestrated. This is being orchestrated, and he's playing a role.
I understand it's orchestrated, Bob, but we also don't need it to go to the Stars Academy Part 2, which was a load of horse crap from the beginning.
I think that they thought, look, it turned into a pile of horse crap. But I assure you, they expected Hillary Clinton to be president and their buddy. And it didn't happen.
Well, you know what? It didn't happen. It didn't happen, but I mean, it is something that we still have to watch out for. I think if I were to predict the future, I would say we'll be lucky if Lou Elizondo is still around in 2 years. I really do believe that. I think there will be a successor. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Sean Cahill. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somebody that we've never heard of before.
Yep. So I think it's more likely to be somebody we will have heard of. Okay, because they got to be inured to the crap they're gonna catch. And I'm not sure Sean wants to put up with all the crap that he's going to catch if he comes in and steps up and does the Lou Elizondo role and what's going on. But look, maybe once Lou Elizondo has completed his role, that specific role isn't needed anymore, and it'll be a different kind of act. Look, once it's turned over to a government office and there's players and Harvard gets a big contract to do the Galileo project, or the billionaire from Russia, if his money hasn't been taken from him because he's got his money by a bad means, who's I think funding Galileo, as well as missions to asteroids. I just think it might be somebody else. I believe Lou is entitled to a break and to take care of his family.
I agree with you. I just hope that there comes a day before he walks off into the sunset, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, a decade from now, that he is given the carte blanche to say a few things that we need to hear. I mean, he's let so many Easter eggs out, man. I mean, if you heard the interview last month with UFO Garage, Ben and Joe did a great job with him, where he literally said, "Why don't people ever question why they brought a triple axle trailer to Roswell?"
Look. You know. Look, since I read Witness to Roswell, I've been saying you don't carry a triple axle 18-wheeler covered with a tarp that with a 10-foot thing standing up on the tarp, drive it through the middle of Roswell for a dad-blasted balloon. That's been clear since Schmidt and Randall and Carey wrote those investigative pieces, and they were brilliant. If you read Witness to Roswell and you still believe a balloon landed there, you are a damn fool.
Well, we're going to have another chance this Friday to hear from Luis Elizondo, because he will be appearing on Thomas Fessler's Disclosure Tonight YouTube channel, which I recommend all of our listeners out there to not only subscribe to, but to check on out. Very pro show there. And I would suspect that with Lou Elizondo, Sean Cahill, and Daniel Sheehan taking to the microphone with Thomas Fessler and his crew, I think there is more that he's going to say. I really do think there is more that he's going to say.
I hope Fessler gets the video played on his show. But look, whatever we get with that crew, wow, it's going to be interesting. So kudos to Fessler for getting them on. Let's hope it's great. And I like that show's style. It's informal. They have witty banter. They get stuff done, and they get really good people to come on and tell us stuff.
Absolutely. And you know, I mean, even though, I mean, they have Scowling Greg in the background, who, I mean, the guy hasn't smiled in probably a decade. You know, I mean, they put on a good show. Thomas is very well informed, very studious with what he does, and I'm very much looking forward to that Friday night show. I don't watch a lot of shows because I don't have a lot of time. That one, 100%, I will be tuned into. You know, and you know, the other idea behind this is, with everything that's going on and the pressures that are going, you know, we tend to forget, Bob, that Lou Elizondo is human after all.
Yep.
And yes, he may
family.
Yes, he may have big shoulders, and you have to have big shoulders in that type of career. But I mean, at some point, as we age, Bob, our shoulders can't take as much.
True, and he's got a family that depends on him. And I agree. I think Lou is preparing the battlefield for the next thing and is going to exit stage left. I just think that. But again, I don't know, but I believe it. He has been carrying the load for a while.
Are you surprised, Bob, that they're outside of Chris Mellon, that there hasn't been anybody else from the intelligence community to step up and kind of give him a shoulder to lean on? Or is that not the way it's done? Am I thinking about it too simplistic?
No. We don't know who Chris Mellon's advisors are. We just don't know. But I can tell you this. He has great friends, powerful friends on the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was a staffer. They know him. They worked with him. They love the guy. And it's really hard to be messed with if you have that kind of power behind you. And he has played his cards very, very well.
Question coming from Joe Monk. What the hell are we going to talk about when they admit UFOs are real?
Bigfoot.
You got to realize 3/4 of UFO Twitter will literally retire. 96% of the podcast will shut down.
Oh, thank goodness. But look, what are the facts? The facts are the government will not tell us everything, even after they tell us it's ET. I do not believe we're going to have full disclosure on Roswell in the next round. Because I believe that just like it was said in Majestic and the staffer for Byrd told Marcel, it's been taken over by a cabal who has no unlimited funding by some weird mechanism, and they're running it with an iron fist. I just don't believe we're going to hear about Roswell the way all of us want to, though that was the big deal. That was when the modern era started.
Are we getting closer to the time when we're going to see true disclosure of Roswell?
I don't believe so, but I could be wrong. I don't believe so, but I could be wrong, because I believe it was rigged to be held in private hands.
Why do you say that? We got 30 seconds.
Because that's what D'Amato told Marcel, and I believe it. I believe Whitley Strieber wrote a documentary and not a novel.
It's the only book I've never finished.
Damn should.
No way, man. I'm petrified to do that. Petrified to reopen that book. Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on. We got Science Bob here for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio as we continue on with Science Bob and friends. As we continue on with the show, more UFO talk, more questions from our audience as we continue on with Science Bob and friends, who comes in middle of each month. We're talking all the scientific stuff around the paranormal and supernatural. We'll be back with Science Bob Minutes. All right, we're clear.
All right.
My God. J.G. Hartwell, did you see Snoop Dogg making fun of the Island Boys? Oh, that was awesome. When is Dave done retiring next year? I might. About a year and a half.
Yeah, after all the aliens land.
If I get my landing in my backyard,
I want to go for a ride. I'm going to drive my camper, park in your front lawn, and you and I are going to call a friend of ours, and we're going to see if we can arrange a ride.
We'll head up north a little bit.
Oh yeah, Bob, I get it.
Bob, I got a place I need to take you. I've never been there. Apparently, in British Columbia, there is a just west. So I live 45 minutes south of a city called Williams Lake.
Yeah.
If you go 3 hours west, you get into a reserve called Anaheim Lake. And somewhere near that reserve is an old CIA runway.
Okay.
That's
believe that.
that's still some big jets apparently still land there.
Yep.
Now, coincidentally, this is the same area where Rick Doty had his Sasquatch encounter.
I believe that too.
Yeah. And apparently there is some weird shit that flies around there at night.
So
And
we'll go with all my night vision crap and other crap and radio
yes.
crap and see if we can see and do stuff. And we can go and stay in my camper for as long as you want to.
Hey, Noodles from Vancouver. Very cool. Come up to the Caribou. I was born and raised in Abbotsford, man. I'm in the Caribou now. Let's see here. What else are we hearing? Let's see here. Thomas, I know Sean was not the lead of ATIP. I know a lot. I know, you don't need to question my sources, buddy. I am saying that as a friend. You don't need to question my sources. I'm just pushing what I have heard. Hi, Dave. Apparently, I'm supposed to say hi, Dave. Hi, Dave. Diesel Girl's a Lower Mainlander. Thomas, I understand that. We'll talk.
Prep the battlefield. Tell the right people, they'll help you. This game is being very well orchestrated, in my opinion, at a very high level.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
You do not get bills through Congress signed by the president without big time help.
What do you mean lunacy?
The moon's up, so maybe the moon's up. Maybe that's what they mean.
Hey, Markham, are you back in North Carolina now? Where are you on this planet? Markham grows a good beard. Very solid beard. Has a nice guitar collection, too.
Yeah. Tom says the information being leaked out is limited by Washington, and you are just consistent with what I was saying is the rollout is being orchestrated, and they're not going to do it except in pieces. And I think this is part and parcel of the belief that the Rand Corporation study was right, that they need to roll it out slowly to keep people from going crazy.
All right, hold on right there. Well, thank you, Worsley, Linda, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Bob, Kira, Thomas ×2, and Mennonite Abe for wonderful super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. And make sure you all check out Disclosure Tonight on Friday. That'd be a good show. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Dr. Bob McGwier. Science Bob and Friends happens monthly here on this big show. And Dr. Bob McGwier, we always love it when you are here, my friend.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Let's get to some audience questions. Nikki is asking, based on what I'm receiving, because she is psychic, what if the big news isn't ETs in this phase? What if it's something else big?
All I know is everything in my experience and analysis tells me it is something big, and it ain't human.
All right, let's go to Eve. This is her second time listening in live. Welcome, Eve. Why is Chris Mellon calling out the United States Air Force? Are they not a part of potential planned disclosure?
It's straightforward. They have kept the big secret for a long time. When the initial DNI report was issued, not one single incident in the 144 listed came from the Air Force. Now, the Ryan Graves, USS Teddy Roosevelt, we see crap every day. A story about the flying off Virginia. The Air Force uses the same area to train, and they have better onboard detection equipment than naval aviators have on their jets. So there is no way Air Force pilots flying in the same airspace as naval aviators didn't see the same bloody thing, and they're just not telling anybody. And I tell you, I think Congress is about to call some big brass from the Air Force and big civilians from the Air Force onto the carpet in the Senate and get the truth out of them, and they know it.
All right, Siegel has a question for you. He goes, Bob, have you heard about the sphere inside of a box video that shows it split between two planes?
So Ryan Graves flew the airplane. We've been talking about Ryan Graves all night. He flew the airplane that almost took out where the cube inside of the sphere almost ran into them. And I believe that it is almost impossible to think he doesn't have gun camera video.
Michael wants to know, Bob, do you think they have the capability to fake an invasion? And if so, how do you think they would do it?
I don't know who they is. Is he talking about ET? Is he talking about the government?
About aliens.
Hey, if they can travel from long distances and do all sorts of stuff and avoid detection and avoid capture, they can do a lot of stuff. I wouldn't put it past them.
Books Incorporated wants to know, why bother disclosing anything at all? Why not keep doing the exact same thing unless there's a reason?
So that is completely consistent with the logic I am applying. I say they kept the secret for ever since 1940s, and why do it now? I think they don't have a choice.
You know what? I think that they have been tipped off. I was told by one of my sources that he asked me, and this is back, where earlier or last year I was pushing the real why now? Why now?
Yeah.
Like
Why now? Exactly.
Why is nobody answering the why now question for all of this to have happened, from the TTSA on forward? And my why now came down to this: either A, one I don't believe, which is a false flag event. I don't believe that for a second. Or B, contact was made and some civilization from way out where said, hey, we're coming. These are the dates.
Yep.
And look, there are a lot of reasons why this was all of a sudden put into the hopper here.
Yep.
We can
speculate. So an opposition would say, we don't know they're coming. And when they come, we don't know what they're doing. Why stir people up and scare them when we don't know actually what they're going to do when they get here? And the other side saying we have to prepare the people for the arrival. Otherwise, we're going to have the collapse of our civilization with panic. So I think that is the kind of argument that's going on inside the government about why this stuff is coming out now. It's because they don't have a choice, or they wouldn't be doing all this crap. They don't have a choice. Something is happening.
Well, but we also have to realize too, we have a big problem with disclosure on this planet. We do.
Yep.
Okay. Some will say disclosure's already happened. I believe there has been confirmation. My sources have told me it's more confirmation and a controlled confirmation than it is a disclosure.
Yep.
And they have to, I'm trying to paraphrase this properly. They have to figure out a lot of human nuances regarding this. Half this population on this planet still prays to a religious deity. And they all think that anything coming from the sky is an Armageddon-like event.
Yep.
Number two, we have no idea how it's going to affect the world economy.
Yep.
I mean, look what's happened with COVID. Look what's happening with Russia. We're bouncing all over the place trying to make a dollar and keep the economy going and capitalism going. What happens when aliens arrive? Number three, you can't control people's emotions. And there's going to be a lot of people who do a lot of stupid things because they're scared.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason why I think they need to, they're thinking long and hard on this. That's just my opinion on it.
I'm with you 100%. And then the reason they're doing that, they don't do it for S and giggles. They're doing it because they don't have a choice. That's how I'm viewing this.
Irish Lincoln would like to know, does the government have a post-disclosure plan how to deal with blowback?
So I think that there's probably some kind of plan on how to deal with blowback. But again, unless they know a whole heck of a lot more than we do, they don't know what it's actually going to be when it gets here. They just know that something's coming. Now, maybe if a message was received, we're coming, maybe they were also told what to expect. And again, we just don't know.
I love this. Siegel. Dave's sources consist of a Ouija board and chicken bones.
Yeah, throw them bones.
I am more of a tea leaves and smudging and pendulums rather than, the rest. I just want to get that clarification. Eric here in North Carolina is asking, so is ET forcing the PTB's hands? I'm not sure what PTB is.
Okay, let's call it government. I think I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes. We're coming. Get ready. That's the message.
Cliff is wondering, how can there be a need to know? Can everyday Joe get what he needs from this narrative?
No. And so there's fear on the part of the people that do know that the people that don't know are going to act crazy. So they're trying to roll it out in phases according to a sheet of music. And the goal is keep people from going crazy.
And I think we have to realize too, Bob, that this is a bipartisan topic in the United States.
Boy, is it ever when there's nothing that's bipartisan anymore.
Very bipartisan. There are Republicans who don't want this to come out. There are Democrats who don't want this to come out, and vice versa on the other side as well. And this is where we get a very strong narrative on what is actually happening with this entire phenomena.
Well, we know which side is winning because they got a law signed.
Well, I understand that, but they're still fighting it.
Oh yeah, look, they're gonna fight a rear guard tactical retreat until the war is over. And I still think that there's a cabal that has known stuff and controlled it since the 1940s, and they don't want to give it up. So they're going to fight.
Excalipurful is asking, what are Bob's favorite reasons for their hands being forced on disclosure?
If our skies get full of flying saucers, I think people will panic if we're not prepared. That's a forcing function.
Eric wants to know, do you think there will be a lot of lawsuits with disclosure?
Which is why we will never learn the real truth about Roswell.
I still think Roswell comes out, man. I really do.
It's good. It's good. Look, they're not going to come out and say, hey, we killed people, buried them in the desert, and stole 1,000 people's civil rights. That isn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very interesting to see what's going to come out and play here, as we got about a dozen minutes left with you tonight, Bob. You know, I mean, where do we go here? What do you see the next 3 to 6 months? Oh, let's take it to June 25th, when the next report is supposed to come out.
I think it's fall. I think it's not until the fall.
I thought it was June, and then
I think I heard today from multiple angles that it's the fall. But look, whenever it is, it's coming. There's another tranche of reporting coming, and this time I think the Air Force is going to be forced to play.
Why has the Air Force been so reticent towards this?
Because they had control of all of it in the beginning from Roswell. It was the Army Air Force, which became the Air Force, took stuff to Wright-Patterson, which is the home of the Air Force, and they put it into their advanced technology thing, which is now a NASIC, and they got stuff buried underneath the buildings in Wright-Patterson.
Eve wants to know, what elected officials have made it known they don't want disclosure?
I could tell you what I am guessing, Eve. Guessing. The kind of constant background narrative is there's hyper-conservative people in the intelligence community, in the Pentagon, and in the legislatures, hyper-Christians that don't want this to come out because it's going to ruin people's belief in God. And you can go look at hyper-Christian, hyper-religious people who are elected officials. They are going to be very reluctant to have ET come down and tell us there is no God.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Powerful. Mennonite Abe wants to know, Bob, are aliens nuts and bolts, or are aliens woo?
Given all the evidence that I have seen and read about, etc., my personal evidence, stuff that I've seen with my own 2 eyes, both by myself and in the presence of Christopher Bledsoe, every bit of it was woo. Every bit of it. And the stories as told, the narrative as told by Jacques Vallée, very well in the Passport to Magonia. In the 1900s, I'm sorry, in the 18th century, people saw airships. And the next thing, you know, we had these balloons, which were airships. And then after we had airplanes, you started seeing weird things that look like flying saucers. So the phenomenon changes the way it presents itself so that people will see strange stuff in the sky, but they can still make contact with it with their senses.
Nikki wants to know, how would you as a person of science start telling your friends who absolutely do not believe or are so into their own lives they don't know what's going on with ETs? How would you start chatting with them?
First of all, I would say nothing to them unless they ask me a question, because they're not prepared if they don't ask questions. So when they become curious enough, I will do my very best to help them with trying to figure out answers, because I myself am looking for answers. Because I'm a scientist, I want to find answers. And I've seen data that says we don't know the answers. I've had experiences that say we don't know the answers. But until the person actually questions what's going on, there's not much that can be done. Hey, I I've gotten in political arguments with family and friends, and you can't tell people what they don't want to hear.
Very true. Eric wants to know, what if ET comes down and says there is a God, Bob?
That'd be great. So you look, the Native Americans have, from time immemorial, talked about the Great Spirit and believe that ETs are coming down from the sky and are involved with the Great Spirit. So who am I to say that they're wrong? I don't. So if they say there's a God and they look like they're 100,000 years in advance of us, I went, maybe it's true. Of course, I already believe anyway.
Well, I mean, we don't know who the aliens are praying to these days.
We don't indeed, because they haven't told us.
Very true. A lot of, Bob, I'm reading Siegel in our chat room's comments, and he's asking, where's the science behind this? We're talking a lot of speculation tonight, but where is the science hiding with this?
Well, there are observations for which there is data. And in that, one does observational science. And then once you have enough observational science data, you start making hypotheses, which you see if your hypothesis can be interpreted to predict the data you have. That's the way science is done. Until you have actually enough data to make a hypothesis that's testable, you're not able to do much.
So in other words, even with your wall full of plaques showing your degrees, your doctorates, your masters, and your college underwear that survived, literally you have no understanding where that data is hidden because it's not being released.
Correct. So we need a lot more data before we can make anything like a credible hypothesis. And I am convinced that the maximum possible amount of data is being hidden by the Air Force, and they don't want to give it up.
Is that what they worry about joining the disclosure movement?
Yes, because they fear Congress is going to order them to tell.
Hypothetically speaking, what if the Air Force is forced to tell? Where does that take the game?
Well, it'll be big depending on what they have to say. It depends on what they actually have to say. But I'm going to tell you what, a lot of work has illegally been done to cover up the tracks of everything that we know from records that they didn't get to was brought from Roswell to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and after that, all records are gone.
Walker Dale wants to know, what is your view of simulation hypothesis?
So let's suppose the aliens come and they tell us, hey, there is a God and he has a great big God-like computer and you are all running in the matrix in a simulation. So what are you going to do? Argue? Especially if they present evidence.
All right. Well, let's move on here to Nicola. How do you think the scientific community will take the idea that we are not alone?
Depends on what evidence they're given. They're not going to take somebody at their word. Evidence will be required.
What kind of evidence do we need?
Stuff that they can look at on their own to draw their own conclusions. Scientists are curious, or they wouldn't be doing science. They're also hard-nosed about wanting demonstrable proof.
Is that in spacecraft? Is that in technology? Is that in
all of the above? It's all of that. So different people will require different things to convince them. Mostly tied to their own specialties.
We got 3.5 minutes to go here with you, Science Bob. Is there a place, whether it's within the Air Force or some of the alphabet agencies, that do know where this technology is happening or where it's being hidden? Whether it's Area 51, Wright-Patterson, Area 52 at Dugway, wherever it is. Is that group a very tight-knit group of who would know what is going on? Or is it so parsed out that they have no idea?
Look, compartmentation and the way special access works is you carve things up into chewable pieces and you disperse it in as many places as possible, so only a handful of people know the whole truth. That's the way it works.
So it's much like when the F-22 was being built. The landing gear was built maybe in Kentucky, where the brake pads were made in Washington State, where the tips of the wings were made in St. Louis, and the paint was made in New Jersey.
So that is done for political reasons and because the defense contractors know that every Congress critter wants some money spent in their district. So that's why that's done. But the security things are split up, and they are not so much split up amongst congressional districts and states. They're split up to keep them separate so no one has the whole story.
Combine that with NDAs, and
Yep.
nothing gets done.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the NDA, the kind of NDAs I have personally signed, I assure you, you are not going to cross it.
How come?
Because of the penalties are onerous. I mean, they're horrid. You look, when you do the kind of work where you have to sign one of these NDAs, the admission ticket is giving away the Bill of Rights. You give away your rights in order to have access and do the work. And so
Okay.
you're completely vulnerable. And if you screw up and slip, you're in trouble.
Science Bob, where can people find more information on you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. LinkedIn is as good a place as any. And if you have questions, contact me on social media. I'm a pretty open guy.
That's what we love about you, Science Bob.
And I think the time for BS is over. Let's get some truth.
Science Bob dropping the gloves here right at the end. Good conversation, a fast 2 hours, Science Bob.
It was
Always,
good.
always appreciate when you're here. I like it when you're fired up like this. You're like my new Butch Witkowski.
Oh boy, that's huge shoes to fill. I'm still mourning the loss of Butch.
Oh, aren't we all? Aren't we all? But man, if I could get you fired up once a month now, holy cow, I got my wish.
There you go.
Cranky Science Bob McGwier.
I'm not cranky. I want some truth.
Damn it, bring me that truth. Bring me that truth. All right, Science Bob will be back next month. He'll probably show up on the round table this month as well. He normally does. We love him around here. Our resident scientist, Dr. Bob McGwier. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. SwampDweller's with us. Then we got the fedora-wearing Jon Hudson for the UFO Report. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio's Hour 3 is next. Great show, Science Bob.
Thank you,
Great
man.
show. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. I'll let you go get some sleep. I got to go check on my boy here.
Yep. I'm going to check out.
All right. Take care.
See
you. Be right back, people. I got to check on my boy. Since you guys are giving me such a hard time here. There we go. All right. There, the axes are back up. Markham's still here? No, not playing anything tonight. I have a guitar in my lap right now. This is my son's, Eric. I just got this one for him. Oh, Jackson action. I don't know if I can get that full screen right there. That's my son's. All right. We've got about 1 minute here. Big thank you to Worsley, Linda, Kat, Jeremy, Bob, Kira, Thomas times 2, and Mennonite Abe. Well, Eric, he blew out his little Jackson Dinky here, his Dinky Jr., and then he blew out my Court, the red Court that you liked. He blew that one out too. So, with guitar lessons. Knight Rider, how you doing, man? Tony D, good to see you. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go at the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Joram. Joram is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We head into the swamp once again, where our resident swamp dweller takes us on a journey of spooky stories.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is SwampDweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. This takes place when I went to Mexico for summer vacation. I was 14 at the time, and like everyone else, I was curious about the legends and scary stories. Since I got there, my cousins would be telling me stories about strange things that would happen in abandoned houses down the block from my grandmother's house. The story that intrigued me the most was the one about a creature living in the town's lake. That was the cause of a lot of drownings that happened in the past. My uncle, to this day, likes the outdoors, and when I am visiting, he used to take me hunting and fishing. One day, a friend of his invited us to go camping by the lake. He had plans of setting out a net from side to side and leaving it overnight and seeing what he caught in the morning. My uncle couldn't make it because of his job, and my grandma didn't let me go without my uncle. So he took off by himself and told us he will let us know if he caught anything in the morning. I stayed home bummed out, waiting for my uncle to get off work so we could at least go out for some tacos. We took some to go and went home at around 2 in the morning. We heard a loud knocks outside the door. Now, these knocks were like frantic banging, so it caught us off guard just a bit, as you could imagine. My grandma got up and went to check who it was, while my uncle was grabbing his machete. Outside the door was my uncle's friend. He was pale and had that look of terror. We asked him what was going on, and he only stuttered. We brought him inside and let him calm down. Once he did, my uncle asked him again what had happened. He told us that he ended up going fishing by himself and thought it was going to be a good night. The moon was bright and you were able to see all around the lake, but he was having bad luck and not catching a single thing. So after an hour of no luck, he decided to head back home. He said that since he wasn't catching anything, there was no point in setting up the tent. He got on his bike and started going around the lake to get to the trail to head back when he spotted something at the edge of the lake. Something was coming out of the water. He didn't get scared at first because he didn't know what he's looking at, and from far away, it looked kind of small. He thought it was probably an iguana or something like that. There are some that grow up to 3 feet in that town. So, he kept pedaling and got near the trail, curious to see the lizard up close. Since the trail was going to pass where he saw the thing coming out, once he did, he would forever regret it. He said that once he got close, the creature was still halfway out of the water. He only knows this because when he got close to this thing, he heard the tires making noise with the dirt, and this thing turned around to look straight at him, with big red eyes. It started coming out of the water, he said. The creature's scaly skin was shining with the light of the moon, and was standing on 2 legs once it was out of the water. It had a tail like lizards do, except smaller, like a stump. About 6 feet long this thing would have been, he said. If it didn't look him in the eyes, my uncle's friend wouldn't have believed this himself. But his reaction had him almost frozen in shock. He was able to snap out of it rather quickly, though, and started pedaling down the trail as fast as he could. Since my grandma's house is close to the lake, that was the reason why he stopped here instead of going home. The next day, we were talking about it, and my grandma heard us talking and said it was El Chavarin, an old legend about a fisherman making a deal with the devil and not keeping his promise. So the devil turned him into a monster as punishment, and throughout the years he's been the cause of people drowning close to the lake and the rivers nearby.
Wow. Another incredible story by our resident swamp dweller. You can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/SwampDweller Reads. Always a good time. I literally listen each and every night right after this show, so make sure you check it on out and hit subscribe. Well, it is time once again where we get to our resident UFO reporter, the fedora-wearing Jon Hudson, as we bring him on in for the UFO stories on the Unbiased UFO Report. Fedora John, your chin hair is looking fantastic. I gotta ask, what's it like being the only chin hair like that in ufology now that Luis Elizondo has a full beard?
Oh, he's got a full beard now?
Full beard.
Oh, wow, good for him. Yeah. I used to have a full beard. It's kind of a fun thing to have, but it creates its own challenges. A lot of people don't realize that actually having a beard is far more work than not having one. It's amazing the effort that goes into it. So best of luck to you, Mr. Elizondo. Hopefully you won't fail that mission.
I think of guys like Samson, man. I think he got weaker with shaving the chin hair. I really do.
There's a lot of testosterone in the beard, man. So
I hear you. I hear you. Where are we going tonight, my friend?
So actually, you know what? I'm so sorry. You distracted me, and I was just about to send you my notes for the night, and we got into that conversation, and I got lost. Basically, there was a couple of things. Well, I mean, first off, just want to say thank you to Bob. It was just like tremendous fun as always, and actually gave me some things to think about. So I really appreciate it. But the first thing that I wanted to kind of get at, though it's a little out of order from what I'm sending you, is I wanted to kind of bring up again this this topic that you brought up the other day, which is this seeming to be this littering of language into multiple areas that don't seem to have any direct relationship. And the most recent evidence of this, which you pointed out, is actually the use of extraordinary, right? The extraterrestrial, right? This word's actually starting to be used. And one thing I found very funny was I was listening to this fantastic interview on the Vinny did of Christopher Sharp, and on Disclosure Now, I believe. And you know, and they were talking about the fact that the DNI basically not only used this word, but actually went so far as to create a new word, which was extraterrestrially, which I hadn't actually heard used before. And so you know, to me, I thought once again, this is definitely an interesting indication that someone's actually trying to not only weave new language into the dialogue, but perhaps even try to influence its definition.
Why do you think we're changing language now? Again.
Well, I think we're changing language the same reason why you always change language, because language changes thinking. You know, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have noticed this, but like when I was a kid, I used to notice all the time how like one news broadcaster would use a new word, and then you'd start seeing other broadcasters use it over the next couple of weeks, and then you'd start seeing it show up in sitcoms, and like it was this weird like domino effect you'd see, and it was almost like the country was kind of learning new vocabulary as a group, you know, and to me, I think that some of that is natural, but I think some of it is very manufactured or manicured, shall we say? And so I think that honestly, there were so many things that Bob said tonight that I've been trying to say that he said so much better and eloquently than I have. But he's so dead on. I mean, there is how many game plans there are, whether they're coordinated and who's generating them is anyone's guess. But there are clearly game plans in the hands of some people.
Well, the government likes to throw these little caveats at us. You know, whether it was changing UFOs to UAP and now extraterrestrially. I mean, I love that. It's all warming up to something, man. It's all warming up to something.
You're just acting way too extraterrestrially.
I know.
How do you even use that in a sentence?
It's scintillating, isn't it?
I expect the person to say it to have like a man bun and be wearing like skinny jeans and
It's all we need is alien Democrats around here.
Oh yes. But yeah, but the thing is that I really do think, all joking aside, I mean, look, we actually have scientific data to say that the language you use actually impacts your brain, right? If you use like very negative words all the time, it does have an impact. And so whenever you have a group of people and you are trying to how would I say this? Okay, so one way of saying it would be you're trying to advertise a new product. That might offend some people. Another way of saying it might be you're trying to circulate a new idea. Okay, maybe that's a better way of saying it. And you're trying to circulate a new idea in a very volatile environment where you're very worried about it being caught on. it somehow becomes beneficial to start introducing language to the group with definitions, and in hopes that spreads as a way of, as Bob said once again, of preparing the battlefield.
You know what one's driving me nuts right now? Totally off topic, but I know where you're going with this. The one that's driving me nuts is on the Poker Stars commercials, where they don't say, the players don't say all in anymore. They say, I'm in. And they push their chips in.
What?
Yeah. Driving me nuts.
Dave,
yes.
I try so hard not to care about things like this, but you've just destroyed poker. Oh my God.
No, I didn't destroy poker. Poker Stars did.
For me, you did.
Don't blame Dave.
All in. I mean, that's like taking a home run out of baseball.
Yeah. That's why they call it a four-bagger.
You've ruined my evening.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that I don't know if anyone, maybe this is something that someone like a Cheryl Costa would be interested in doing. I don't know if I quite have the patience, but there's tools out there like Google word data and so forth, where you can start looking at when words start showing up and when they start showing up in searches, at least, right? And that is helpful because often that gets wrapped into like labels of TV shows and news broadcasts and so forth. And so it would be interesting to start actually it'd be interesting to map out the last 5 years, then do an overlay of the different words that we've seen introduced, try to put ends on when and where they were introduced, and then actually look and see whether there was anything going on underneath that might have been influenced by that overlay.
I've got poker on my mind now. By the way, if anybody is going to our Vegas event, April 22nd to 24th, for our fan party, take on Bigfoot researcher Carter Bouchard. He's played in the World Series of Poker 3 times and hit the cash once.
Wow.
I want to destroy him. I want to destroy him at the table.
Wow. And there are places there are places in Vegas where it's proper poker. Like they're poker rooms where you sit down. It's very friendly. It's all hand decks. It's all very old school. And especially if you're into things like Texas Hold'em. I mean, you can find some fantastic games out there. It's really amazing. If
you find a good table, you'll sit there all night.
Oh yeah, and I did find for me, if I snowboarded all day and didn't sleep, then I was actually tired enough that I had a poker face. Sleep deprivation.
Last time I was in Vegas, I sat down at the poker table at 3:00 in the afternoon, and I broke even at 3:00 in the morning. My final hand, I had trip queens off the flop, and I lost to a full house where aces over
that's
queen.
The thing.
Didn't mind it at all.
Wow. Nope. I wouldn't. But that's so beautiful because the thing is that you didn't break even. You got 12 hours of tremendous zone out time, tremendous fun, tremendous relax. I mean, just like so much goodness, and you basically got it for free. I mean,
yeah, now the crappy part was I was up $600 at one point.
Yeah, but
hey, I had fun. I had fun.
Yeah, totally. No, that's awesome.
I had fun. It's all that matters.
We need SOR poker chips.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Let me see if I can find some of those. All right, topic number 2 here that we're going to get to. The SCU, Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, has just announced, and I think we're the first ones to announce it publicly, that they are having their own conference.
Yes, May 27th. And registration is open. They are doing an online element as well as an in-person. I believe they're doing an in-person element. I know they're doing they are doing both. And but the thing is that while there's a lot of good things you could talk about, there's a lot of interesting people presenting. what I wanted to call out was this one little blurb that appears on the registration page, because to me, I mean, this is SCU, but still, to me, this was a dramatic statement, and I'd love to hear your opinion. It says, the UAP mystery is becoming less of a mystery, as scientists, former military, and business professionals are now taking this subject seriously. That in itself was a far more aggressive stance than I expected to see out of them, right? I mean, that implies that they have confidence. Okay, that's what that implies. And it goes on to say, you know, the SCU now has membership of 170 incredibly talented people. You know, we look forward to, you know, meeting anyone who wants to help. They're encouraging people to join. It's a very nice organization. I've interacted with them very little, but that I have has been actually really nice. But I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too touchy, but Dave, that to me was a rather aggressive statement to make.
Well, I'm very much interested in this, and I want to say thank you to SCU board member Paul Kingsbury for passing that information over to us earlier tonight and asked if we could get it on the show. You know, I think the SCU is going to play a very important role in going towards some sort of disclosure, because with the brainiacs that are involved in the SCU, we really could see them really push for a lot of scientific truth behind a lot of the technologies that may be hidden by the U.S. military.
Understatement of the universe. If you guys have a chance to go listen to anything from any of their earlier, because they've done earlier kind of like semi-conference type things, listen to one of the talks. This is the one place that you will see actual, like, normal scientists that are also humans talking with other humans about UFO stuff and science together, and they're taking it totally seriously, and it's awesome. It is so much fun it is really cool, and they don't no flight to fancy. It's not, look, they're still scientists, right? But the point is that it is a really open conversation. Like, I mean, it is one of the freest conversations I think I've seen in a while, and that's a really good thing, and they should be applauded for that.
Very much agreed. We got 3 minutes left, and you want to bring up something about some letters from Luis Elizondo.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting situation. So basically what we have here is basically the Black Vault, and hats off to John Greenwald for doing this, through FOIA, was able to get his hands on several of the letters, 3 of them, that Elizondo had sent, basically in some of the most polite but clearly assertive and clearly frustrated language that you're likely to read. Basically, not to the point of begging, but getting damn close, of saying, you know, why are you guys disparaging my name? Why are you guys discrediting my career? Well, I am someone who served without blemish, and you are. Why are you? I mean, it's actually funny if you wanna actually get a feel for this. If you go listen to a UCR today, Lou, their Lou goes off about this because he got really mad about this, and you know, he's usually a pretty mellow guy, and he's really mad. It was fun to kind of listen to him. But it's super frustrating.
What was he saying? Hold on, you can't teach us like that. What was he saying?
Well, no, he was saying exactly what I'm saying, which is that he was mad in that when you read these, it's so genuine, and it's so you cannot help but feel the frustration. You can't help, and so for that frustration to be conveyed to a level that that upsets me this much is rare for me. But I don't consider that much data. Whereas Lou Jimenez is freaking out today on his own show. I thought that was kind of a more interesting data point, and he was freaking out for the exact same reasons. Just the to go from oh yeah, it's good to question Lou to a, oh my God, you guys really did this? Like what? Like what do you like? The one point that Lou made that I think was very interesting. Actually, I'll take that back. It might have been one of his guests.
30 seconds.
Yeah, was that what impact is this going to have on children that were looking at careers in the military? This is not how you support a decorated veteran, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Well,
it's absolutely insane.
And on that note, John, we also have to say too, we haven't done a good job at helping a lot of veterans out there.
We're getting better at it, though. We're getting better at it, though. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
we got to continue to get better. The veterans are just so important to us.
Oh,
hey, John,
yes.
Thank you for another great report on the Unbiased UFO Report with fedora wearing Jon Hudson. Coming up next, we are going to hook up with Shane Hewitt and the Shift. We're going to go right across Canada talking UFOs, then follow that up with Shirky Poo's News. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Hey, Vancouver. How you guys doing? We're good. We're good.
Okay, yeah. We'll be ready to go for 36.
All right. So will we. Bye. Hey, Fedora.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, he's got a good voice.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Had a good day today. My son's last hockey practice of the year tonight, and he kicked butt. Went upstairs to check on him at the 9:30 break. He had already passed out. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, just dad and the boy here.
Nice.
And the dog. It's funny, my one dog will not leave his room when he's sleeping.
Aw, that's nice.
Will not leave his room until I come upstairs.
That's nice. That's really cool. Dogs are. We really don't deserve dogs.
Yeah. Well, the dogs walk him to the bus stop every day with me.
Nice.
Yeah. They get a little weirded out though when they see him get on the bus, because I mean, like, where's our boy going?
Oh yeah. For sure. One of my favorite scenes in the third, I think it was the third of the Robert Monroe books, is in the book he's basically in this waiting area that where you're kind of like in a queue before you get like inserted into a new body, right? Mm-hmm. And he runs into this one guy, and this guy's talking about how he knows what he's doing now, and he's gonna do it so much better this time, and he lays this whole thing down, and Robert Monroe's like, yeah, but don't we forget everything when we're born? And the guy's like, no, and he freaks out. But then he meets this nice little kid, and this kid's like all excited, and he's talking about how he's going to be such a great human, and how he's going to be the best human ever, and he's been working so hard at it, and he's always been so good to his human, and like you basically start listening to this kid, and it starts becoming very clear in the language of this child that this is this being's first chance to be a human.
Oh,
after
wow.
being a dog for a long time.
Oh, wow.
And that's what was going on in that scene. And, you can believe it or not, but I can tell you, man, it is a hard scene to read with a dry eye, man. It is really cool. It is a really cool scene.
I could see that. Are you going to hang out, or are you going to?
Yeah, I'll hang out for a little while. Yeah, totally. Like to listen in. Yeah.
Cool. because I got like 20 minutes of broadcast without you here.
Yep.
Yeah, we're coming back in like 90 seconds.
Yeah, no, I love listening. These guys are cool. It's so much fun. Like to me, I wish there was more of this, because it's so cool to see everything that we talk about kind of presented in a form that is good for them, and then seeing how they react to it. It's fun.
I like it. I can hear them.
I totally agree.
I'm talking right now. They're warming up for us. Warming up the pipes. Got about a minute here.
Have you seen those dogs now that help the epileptic kids, where they actually have a sensor on their collar, and when they lay down on the kid's chest, it applies a shock?
No, I haven't. That is genius.
Yeah, it's cool.
Genius.
Yeah.
I have seen videos of dogs that will help a person who's having a seizure, where that is phenomenal.
And for PTSD people, oh my gosh, saves lives.
Huge.
Rip your beds up, rip your bed sheets off, and pull you out of bed in the morning to make sure you get up.
Wizard Grin, how are you? Good to see you. Hey, I want to say a big thank you to Worsley, Linda, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Bob, Kira, Thomas Times 2, and Mennonite Abe for the amazing super chats. Thank you to all our regulars tuning us in tonight. Everyone who hit subscribe, really appreciate it. And all the veterans out there, we absolutely love you. Here we go, everyone, with the third or last segment here. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate you earning and tuning us on in and earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We head over to Vancouver now. Big Bad Shane Hewitt with the shift going right across Canada on the Chorus Radio Network.
Got a sales pitch.
He always likes to have us on. Mr. Shane, how are you?
Oh, my God. You're late. That's how I am.
I am not late. My time says I'm right on time.
32 seconds late, Dave. That's all right. How are you doing? I was saying that it's not about the world of the weird so much as it is the world of the politics these days, which could be taken as weird. How are you doing? Are you good, buddy?
I am happy. You know why I'm happy, Shane? Is because for the last year that you and I have been doing this, I've kind of felt like, don't you worry, never fear, Robin Hood will soon be here. And finally, that day arrived last week, my friend.
Yeah. I got a phone call from Dave Scott in the middle of making dinner out of the blue. Very excited. Shane, you won't believe what just happened. Thank you for including me with that. Your passion was contagious, I can tell you that much. We did not do the show last night, and for some personal reasons, but we wanted to make sure we got to this tonight, even though it's not our normal time slot to have Dave Scott on. Thank you for adjusting for us so we could share this exciting news from your world. Where do we begin?
Well, we begin in Ottawa, where, Shane, for the last year that you and I have been talking on the shift here, where we have literally talked about when is the Canadian government going to get involved with UFO talk. And I had told you and your listeners, as well as my listeners, that we were literally talking to people in Ottawa who were waiting for the right moment to try and get into the UFO game, to ask some questions. Well, that finally happened last week. It happened just after dinner time, our time on the West Coast, when during a standing committee on national resources, Manitoba MP Larry McGwier stood up and asked a gentleman named Jon Hannaford about UAP sightings over Canadian nuclear energy facilities. And with this, Jon Hannaford really didn't know how to reply. And Mr. McGwier hopped in and basically stated, hey, I have reports of 3 UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomena, that have been seen and recorded over Canadian nuclear facilities. Has anybody from the Natural Resources Office checked in with the Americans who run their program to see what they are doing about unidentified aerial phenomena to figure out if it's drones or something else? Now, it may only be a standing committee. It may not be in the House of Commons, but this is the first time in recent history where we've literally had a standing MP talk about UFOs in Canada publicly.
Now, first of all, let's acknowledge the amazing part that this guy's name is Larry McGwier. Let's just put that white elephant on the side because that's amazing. Second of all, you know what's really cool about this, Dave, that I find fascinating is that when you go through this journey of trying to get acknowledgement for the research that's going on, 10 years ago, 20 years ago for sure, technology was not at a place where we had drones. At least not even a retail level commercial, like a retail access, consumer-based drone. And in today's world, of course, we've seen them be used for so many, bad things like flying them around airports and all that stuff. Now, when you don't have drones, the only thing you can go and say, hey, that might be a UFO or a foreign fighter plane or whatever. You've got to go to the military. Well, in today's world, you can say, hey, naively, hey, is that a drone? What is that unidentified aerial phenomena that's flying around there? And he can go into a public forum like this and not have to go through the traditional channels because he could just innocently ask the question saying, hey, who's flying agriculture drones by nuclear power plant or whatever, right? So he gets to play a little bit naive and simple words. I don't believe he is stupid, but he gets to play stupid. And that works in everyone's benefit where they can start to talk about these conversations.
Well, the interesting part about it is Larry McGwier actually took this a step further. All right. Now, remember when I told you a little while ago, and trust me, I'm taking full advantage of my I told you so moment, if you don't mind. I really do appreciate that. But
I don't mind. You go ahead.
Well, because and the reason why I'm kind of, tooting our own horns here, Shane, is because so many times people look at us, us as in those who are in the fringe movement, thinking we're just a bunch of tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. And here we are talking about Canadian politicians now who have a very big interest in this subject. I had also told you in your crowd about how there were private meetings going on in Ottawa. Namely, he comes out, Larry McGwier, in a letter stating he has met with Luis Elizondo, who is involved in the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, to talk about high-level unclassified outlines of the issue. He is also met with members of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, which included 6 members of Canadian professors who are part of this SCU program. He has also met with the gentleman who started the remote viewing program at the Pentagon, a gentleman named Hal Puthoff, who has been very well known in the UFO community. I'm also hearing he has met with Chris Mellon, who is the deputy director or secretary of defense under both, I believe it was George Bush Jr. and Barack Obama, regarding this topic of UFOs. So the Canadian government, at least on the conservative side, we know is actually getting into the ball game, trying to figure out what Canada's role is. Now, from what I'm hearing from my sources in Ottawa, they want to know, how does this affect NORAD and our role with NORAD? Are Canadian fighter pilots intercepting these craft? Now, a lot of this is being recorded by Toronto freelance journalist Daniel Otis, and you can read his articles on Vice. And Daniel and I have been working very hand in hand in trying to get this information out. But I think it's very important to know for the Canadian audience that the government now, at least members of the government, are starting to take the UAP story very seriously.
Now, his riding, I want to get into the nuts and bolts here. The riding of Larry McGwier is Brandon Souris, which is on the west end of Manitoba, a U.S. border, Saskatchewan border, that bottom corner. Is this where, I guess I'm surprised that he's the guy versus maybe an MP from the eastern corner, closer to Ontario and some of those hotspot reporting zones of stuff flying in the air.
Well, I think what it has to do with is he's been a politician long enough. He knows the game, but I think what's happened is the UFO story very much interested him when he heard it coming out of the United States. And I believe there are other MPs. In fact, I know there are other MPs who are very interested in this entire phenomena as well, Shane. They want to know if this is affecting Canadian airspace. Are our CF-18 Hornets trying to intercept these craft, which we are now learning through reports from Daniel Otis that, yes, CF-18s have been scrambled to try and pick up some sort of UFO in the sky. And that is directed under NORAD. And that's what we need to figure out. That's what we need to know, is what kind of role does this have? Is there safety issues across Canada and, the bordering of the United States south of us and up towards Alaska? I mean, is there a threat narrative? I hate using that term, but that's the term we have to use regarding whether or not there is a threat narrative with UFOs in Canada now.
So the amount of courage for a politician to step up and do this with Larry McGwier and everyone else who's sort of asked these questions publicly, this becomes, this is a tightrope, right? Because you got to get reelected, yet you feel like these things matter, and you also don't want to look like you have a tinfoil hat on. It takes a ton of courage for this person to do this. And I think that this is the cool part, regardless of any of the topics, to step away from the political rope or the party rope and start to ask questions. I would love to see more MPs ask these kinds of questions. But what does it accomplish, and what comes next, Dave Scott? Because the reality for me is I fear that it's like an ostrich head in the sand moment of, whoa, was that just out loud? Hide. Kind of. We need to take this
Absolutely.
ground again.
Well, you know what? There's a couple of reasons of thinking of this. Number one, we knew Aaron O'Toole was not a fan of this subject, did not want to get into it. And now that the Conservative Party of Canada does not have a formal leader until September, that is a reason why a veteran MP like Larry McGwier could come out and stand up and ask these questions, because really he has nobody to answer to. He's one of the elder statesmen of the Conservative Party as an MP. He's been there for over 20 years. He may have one election left. I believe he's either in his late 60s or early 70s. So he's pretty much ready to retire, maybe after one more election, one more term. And I mean, that seat has been solid for him, and I don't ever see him losing it. However, this is what we do need from here on in. We, in the perfect world, need this to get into question period on the House of Commons floor. That's what needs to happen, whether it's McGwier or someone else. Now, other MPs, maybe who are younger and still, wanting to build their prominence in Canadian history, may not want to tackle this subject. For somebody like McGwier, he doesn't care. He's almost at the end of the rope. But he needs other younger people to come in, because if all of a sudden he retires, who takes the ball of asking these questions? Or does it all of a sudden fall back under the rug once again? The other thing that we have to realize too is not a single media outlet outside of what we're telling you and a couple of minor ones in Ontario have covered this story. That is wrong. It's a story. But with COVID and what's happening on the federal level and provincial levels, as well as what's happening in the Ukraine right now, of course, this is a story that is never going to see the light of day, and it's never going to see the hallways of leading into the House of Commons, because there's no time for it. There's two other big stories out there that are much more pressing than wondering whether or not Canada has aliens flying around its nuclear energy facilities.
It does kind of sound strange when you say it that way. I mean, because nuclear facilities you would think would have, cameras and, I don't know, little security belt, I guess high-tech things to watch for.
Well, I mean, Shane, you hope so. I want to know if there's video of these. If there's reports, I want to see the videos. Give us the grainy, horrible videos like a bank robbery, where they're using 1948 cameras instead of the cameras that we could, we could get a clear picture from a Mars rover back to Earth, but we can't tell the face of a criminal or a UFO above a Canadian nuclear energy facility. I mean, give me that grainy video, man. I want to see it.
Yeah, Chris Rock used to talk about that. You're telling me we can go to the moon, but we can't get a bumper to stay on a Cadillac? Like, something's in the way,
Exactly.
Something's in the way. This is exciting, Dave. I want to take a second before we're done here and just sort of acknowledge the fact that, your passion and your hard work in this, because I know how much this matters to you. And this is really cool. I hope that for the sake of all the work that you and your colleagues do, that you like to, get behind some support and info for just finding out more. And I just really acknowledge the work you do with that and the people that are around you on it. And thank you for sharing that for me when you were very excited about it and called. And I do appreciate that.
Shane, I'm going to put a challenge out to you. I would love for you to reach out to MP Larry McGwier and bring him on your show right across Canada to talk about this, because I think it needs press. And you're a guy who, with your journalism skills, that you could really help to bring this subject out across Canada, because it isn't about the woo anymore. It's literally about it's happening, and we need to know more, and we need our press like yourself to take this story seriously. So I hope you take me up on my challenge.
We will. Ryan's already typing. He's working on it. Dave Scott, thank you very much, brother. Great to hear your voice.
Always a pleasure, Shane. Thank you very much. That is Shane Hewitt from the Chorus Radio Network in Vancouver, taking us right across Canada. Now let's get to Shirky Poo's news. All right, what has Shirky Poo got for us tonight? We're going to start off in Colorado. Kind of a grotesque one here. Someone broke in and stole a box that contained human heads from a truck in Colorado last week. Yeah, the strange theft took place about 2:30 p.m. Wednesday and 9:30 a.m. Thursday, somewhere in between there, while the freight company truck was parked in Denver's Central Park neighborhood. The heads were being transported for medical research purposes, according to authorities. Pretty shocked, Isaac Fields, a local resident who routinely walks his dogs in nearby parks. I guess I don't see too many strange things happening around here usually. The blue and white box had a label that said exempt human specimen, police said. A dolly was also stolen, and police said they not sure if how many heads were actually in this box. The cardboard box, which was about 20 by 15 by 18 inches, also had Science Care written on the sides. Science Care is a program for donating bodies, both scientific research and education. The investigation is still ongoing. Police said no arrests have been made, and they're nowhere being near ahead of the game. Ahead of the game. That's a terrible pun. Horrible, Dave. Oh my goodness. Where do you come up with this? The house that was made famous by the 1990 film Edward Scissorhands is for sale in Florida. And for a cool $700,000, the residence comes with memorabilia, including a life-size mannequin of the title character. The Lutz, Florida home, currently owned by Joey Klops, was made famous as the house of a family that took in Johnny Depp's character in the Tim Burton film. Klops had the home remodeled to make the interior resemble the sets that served as the inside of the house during the film, and it is stocked with memorabilia, including authentic and reproduced props, an original script used by the movie's Pop Master, and a life-size Edward Scissorhands mannequin, of course. The exterior of the house has also been decorated with unusual landscape designs to resemble the topiary art created by Edward himself. It's actually not a bad deal, you know. Not a bad deal. It's a nice house. Would you do it? There's some people out there who would. Hey, if you're a Pokemon collector, a rare first edition Pokemon card expected to get about 200 grand at auction ended up fetching $336,000. Heritage Auctions said the Pokemon trading card game Charizard number 4 first edition base set trading card is a highly sought after item among collectors due to its being from the first English language run of Pokemon cards. The card sold in the auction is one of only 121 known examples to have received a perfect 10 rating from inspectors. Heritage Auctions said the card sold for 336 grand, making it the most expensive Pokemon card ever sold at the auction house. The previous record was 300,000. A 1998 Pikachu Illustrator Holo promo card previously made headlines in February when it fetched almost $1 million in an auction organized by Golden. The sum is believed to be the highest price ever paid for a Pokemon card. You know, that's one game I've never got into, Pokemon. Here's a weird one. A man found a mysterious wooden box hiding inside the wall of his home with a "Do Not Release" carved into it. Yeah. TikTok account at GBTV documents one of the couple's home renovations projects in Wales, and it appears they found some pretty spooky stuff. During the video, the guy explains he was attempting to plug the gaps in a wall in his attic when something mysteriously caught his eye. The video pans to a wooden box with a pentagram on one side and the words "Paidawich ar Riedo" carved into the top, which can roughly be translated from Welsh to "Do Not Release." The couple were encouraged to continue their spooky series after racking up 25 million views. After smashing the glass with a hammer and ignoring the 7 years of bad luck, they found a key. Finally, they were able to open the box, despite many TikTokers warning them to leave it alone. The couple found some really strange objects lurking inside, such as a small pendant, necklace, and a burnt piece of a Ouija board. Oh, isn't that weird? Oh, it gets weirder. A lock of hair was in there, and a second key were also hiding inside the box. And if there is a second key, now they're wondering, is there a second box hiding somewhere in the house? Thank you to Shirky Poo for the wonderful news tonight. Thank you to the big bad Jon Hudson, his fedora looking absolutely proper, for the Unbiased UFO Report. We got to say thank you to Shane Hewitt from the Chorus Radio Network and the Shift for bringing us right across Canada. SwampDweller for another incredible spooky story. And, of course, Science Bob for another edition of Science Bob and Friends. He'll be back next month. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, and the Space Travelers Club, and of course on Twitter. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. We need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right. Had some tech issues on the radio side. I don't know if it actually worked or not, but we're going to find out here momentarily. I really don't.
You really don't know?
This honestly, it's a mystery to me right now. Absolute mystery. We'll find out here in about a minute.
To be honest with you, Dave, every time I run into one of you groups, these little subgroup industries where you actually have a lot of tech equipment that actually has to do some pretty clever, fancy stuff, and then I look at your interfaces and the way you're trained on them and how support works and all this stuff, and honestly, it seems completely batshit crazy. Like, I don't understand how half of you people get any of this stuff done. Like, I just don't like you should be able to get like so much better support for that. Like, it drives me nuts. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, shit happens. Hey, John Music is here. John, give us an update. Is the hair and beard still high and tight? Let us know. Some of us need to know. At least I do.
So, I'd like to do my own sort of little challenge based on what you said earlier, Dave, to your friend, in that
which, by the way, I thought was a good challenge.
Oh yes, I agree. I totally agree. No, I loved it. I thought it was a really good idea. I think it actually dovetails right into his wheelhouse and could actually play well for him too. So I think it could be beneficial for everyone. The United States now has been given two very good chances to take the whole nuclear UFO thing seriously. Okay. Now I can understand why they might have ignored the first one, right? I get that. And I can see why, if you'd seen the first one, why you might have ignored the second one. But I have a really hard time believing that you've gotten to the point where you have never seen anything of either one of them, and still no one cares. So, whether my challenge is to you Canadians, please be the bloody adults in the room. Be the bloody adults in the room and take it seriously. I mean, like, how hard is this? I mean, this is not rocket science. Take all the freaking woo out of it. This is to be truly disturbing to people, right? I mean, like, because the thing is that whether they're testing them, whatever they're doing, what they're clearly saying, whoever they are, is your most powerful weapons we can play with on puppet strings.
Hold on.
And you usually don't say that to people. Sorry.
We're about to get to the old whether or not the show made it or not. Ugh. This is stressful. Just stressful. So you were saying?
No, I would just like to see, like, I don't even want too much excitement about it. I don't want it to be an the sky is falling thing. I just want it to be taken seriously, like normal adults would take any other situation where you saw a repeatable event happening around nuclear facilities, right? And look, I can understand them not necessarily freaking out about it at some levels, because you could argue that the interaction that's happened has been relatively benign, give or take, or some things. And it's not like they can do anything about it, but still, like, I'm just perpetually disappointed by the quality of the conversation and the people who are willing to engage in the nuclear topic. I know it's not fun, but it's like, and yeah, and for me, it's like, it's not about the nukes. Like, I'm not worried about the nukes going off by mistake or anything. Like, I have zero concerns about that. What I'm concerned about is on Earth, most creatures act in a certain way because they're expecting an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
What outcome would someone from this planet be expecting from walking and remotely turning on and off your most powerful weapon, right? If someone came up to you on a playground, right? If someone came up to you in the Wild West, right?
Mm-hmm.
Walked up to you and without touching you was able to spin the revolver, cylinder in your pocket and cock your gun and uncock it without you touching it, and then just smiled and walked on, what would you think their message was?
Oh, goodness, John. I don't know.
I mean, isn't that I mean, yes, that's a little bit of an extreme, but somewhat of a reasonable analogy. I mean, it's like walking up to a person and without touching it, changing the state of the weapons on that other person without cause.
DQ presents. Picture this. You stand.
Guess that's commercials. Okay. Well, let's clear those out. All right. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
No. And the thing is that I think presumptions in general are dangerous. I think when you're dealing with anyone off any creature that potentially either planet or dimension or anything, then your assumptions go even further out the window. I don't think we can make any assumptions about what their intention are, but I have to admit, I am concerned about the intentions, right? Because, for me, because the thing is that even in a really volatile environment where I have complete battlefield superiority, okay, there's no value in walking up to an opponent on the field and doing this. All you're going to do is rattle them. And honestly, you're likely to trigger something, right? That's not a smart thing to do. So the only other scenario I can understand this happening is in the case of like a younger brother and an older brother, right? In that scenario, I could see it being more playful and perhaps more educational in a way. But even still, right? If my brother and I had been at a gun range and suddenly his gun started, cocking and decocking and, expelling shells all by itself, and he looked aghast at it and looked up at me and I just grinned and winked at him and then kept shooting and then his gun went back to normal. What the hell is that?
Well, that's what good paintball is for. Hey, we got a question from Joe here. He's asking, has there been any more reports on UFOs over Ukraine?
Not that I've heard. But, fog of war messes everything up.
John's a pacifist. He also likes to sing. John, why don't you sing for us a little bit?
You know what? Actually,
You do like to sing.
I do know. Actually, I do like to sing. I was about to say freshly minted pacifist, but actually, no. I don't think I can claim pacifist. I think that would be unfair to real
You look like
pacifists.
you would make a good pastafarian.
But I must admit that one of the unfortunate side effects of the last 6-7 years, that this kind of like little side journey I've been on. I can't watch. I can. I don't enjoy violent movies anymore. Like I used to be someone that would love watching like a like Liam Neeson. What was that? Those movies he did. I will find you. I will. I have special skills and all that stuff. I used to love watching movies like that. Revenge movies, like one guy, someone drops a dead flea on his shoe and he goes and blows up their town, right? Like that kind of that good American. Like I used to love that stuff. Now, it's like I don't get anything from it at all. It just
it's the pastafarian in you.
It's kind of annoying, like there's a whole genre of movies now that I just don't. I've having a lot of trouble with TV shows too. I just, now I see violence, and the first thing I'm thinking is, what is the quickest way to get out of it and disable the other person quickly? I'm thinking efficiency. I'm not thinking about oh, that you took like 16 steps to do that. You could have done that in 2. Like, why are you doing? So like it just seems so wasteful.
I'm looking for the video here. Hold on.
What video?
Of the UFO. Can't find it right now.
Jeremy Jones, you know what the worst part is? I want to like them. I miss liking them. I try. I'll sit down and watch them and I'll try to get into it. And I just can't.
He's a pacifarian.
Now I understand like what revenge really is and like what grudges really are. Like I didn't get it before. Now I do. So oops,
Hi, Polar Eclipse. How you doing?
I'm so scared to see the new Batman movie.
Why?
Because I'm like, as dumb as this sounds, Batman means a lot to me, and I'm scared. I'm scared. That's just flat out scared. I'm scared. I was very pleased with the Christopher Nolan series. That made me very happy.
I just want to know, how many times does Joker have to die before they stop going back to Joker? It's ridiculous. I tuned out of Batman in like the early 2000s.
I wish they would get realistic about the wooey nature of the Joker, and not have him actually die, because let's face it, he can't die. I mean, it's like there's been whole shows about this. Like, you can't have the Batman without the Joker. You just can't. So therefore, it's kind of silly to kill him, because
Well, I agree with Jeremy on this one. Michael Keaton is still the best Batman. Still the best. He was amazing.
I was happy with that until the Penguin. The instant the Penguin came, it was all over.
Michael Keaton still Batman for the Penguin?
Thought he was. I thought that was a second movie. I don't know. But I mean, and Batman got really. I mean, there was that whole there was that whole Schumacher. Like, yeah, there was troubled times. Poor Batman. The truth of the matter is that poor Batman and poor Spider-Man both get beat up from the street up all over damn Hollywood. It's just the flat out truth of the matter is. I mean, poor Spider-Man gets sold around like some cheap. It's ridiculous. Like the way like Sony like hawks him around. Like, freaking annoying. Hey, Jeremy Jones and anyone else, if you're Batman fans, there is a Batman VR. There's a small Batman VR game that you can get for the PlayStation, and in it, you actually you drop down in the elevator into the Batcave, and you're going down, and like the whole Batcave opens up to you, and it's all in VR, like you have glasses on. Oh my! It is. If you really love Batman, this will give you chills. It will absolutely impact you emotionally. It is an amazing experience. It is just like it's really cool. Actually, the VR stuff's finally actually getting cool. Like Dave, have you been subjected to Minecraft at any point in your
Oh yeah, I don't get it.
Okay. So I got a little into Minecraft when it came out in the early days, and then I found that it was a little too dangerous for me because it's just at the time sucked because I can just start building on symmetry and just get really OCD about it, and then but it didn't really progress much, and so I kind of lost touch with it. Now I got a 6-year-old daughter, so needless to say, Minecraft, right? So, but they came out with VR support, and so for the last 3 nights, I've been playing Minecraft VR, and oh man, it is something else. It is like suddenly all that hokey Minecraft graphics doesn't look so bad anymore because it's like physically there, and it's weird. Like when you dig a hole, you're in the hole. Like you have to be careful. You could actually make yourself feel claustrophobic if you're not really careful. And you're putting down blocks like one at a time in front of you. You can actually build faster than you can normally. Like it's an amazing experience. Like you can build these amazing things. And it like my daughter and I today we're doing like building competitions where we'd take this big flat piece of land and we'd each try to build like a robot or an ice cream dessert or just different things, just like a build challenge. We just build different things and it's fun.
Very, very cool.
Sorry, you get dizzy from it? Oh, the thing is, there's actually been a lot of really, really good science done on optics and equilibrium and perception because of the fact that most of this stuff dovetailed right into the military because you have all those military folks having to look at screens and so forth. And so I know there are exercises that you can do that can help mitigate some of that. It may not matter to you, so it may not matter at all. But if you actually want to get over that dizziness, there are ways you can kind of mitigate it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and actually, I just got what is it? Is it Air Combat 7? I think it is. What is it? Yeah, Air Combat 7 with VR support. And that is it's neat because the VR stuff, when it first came out, pretty challenging. It's been taking a while. It does. The stuff always takes time, and but it's definitely getting pretty. One of the best things, and actually, Dave, I think you really like this. I have a 3D painting program. So basically, you're in like this completely blank room, and you're using the batons, right? And as you paint, it's physically there, floating in front of you.
Weird.
And you can paint sideways or this way. Like basically your painting becomes completely 3D. Like instead of painting a barn on a hill, you actually create the hill, you make the farmhouse, you can go into the farmhouse, and then you can step back from it and it looks like a picture. It's madness, man. It is tremendously cool. It is tremendously cool. Needless to say, I'm a teeny bit sold on VR. I think AR is a lot more interesting, but I don't know if you've seen some of the demos they have nowadays, but like imagine opening up the hood of your car and looking at your engine, and immediately the names of all the parts pop up. The color coding of the condition of all the parts pops up. Links for videos that create 3D models on how to actually go in and fix those parts, where you can actually put your hand into the model and try to follow their action, right? Basically, AR eventually is going to finally do something that I've been wanting to do for decades, which is kill the manual. Dead. Manual dead. No one reads those things. One of the best manuals ever written was by the developers of the Star Trek game for the Atari, the first Star Trek game. The instructions said, insert cartridge, kill Klingons. Beautiful. Best instruction manual ever written.
Give me 1 sec here, buddy. You just keep rambling.
That's all good. I'm just rambling.
I don't mind.
I still have a PS4 too. I need to get a PS5, but I haven't yet. Not easy to get still, and not cheap. Oh, VR in 20 years. VR. The other thing that VR is going to do, which like no one is picking up on yet, which I find very frustrating, is so this whole idea that you have to physically be anywhere to do your job needs to end. And basically what VR is going to, and AR is eventually going to allow you to do, is to quite literally just like go into your backyard and instantiate your office.
Instantiate.
Yes. Meaning to essentially make appear. And it will appear to you. It will be a AR overlay that will actually merge with your yard in a way. And you will be able to use video screens, you'll be able to use the computers, you'll be able to use the phone, you'll be able to use everything in the office just as you do when you physically go there, but it'll all be virtual. And you'll be doing it in the clean, fresh air of your backyard.
Very nice.
And it won't matter if you're in your backyard, on the roof, you're camping, you're on the water, you're on the beach, wherever you work best, that's where you will work. Yeah, the Quest 2 is actually the Quest 2 that their whole Christmas push this last year that was a big deal. That was cool. They got into a lot of homes that didn't have VR before. That's actually going to do a lot of good for the movement in general. Oh, I've been playing video games. I can't. I don't really remember. That's not true. I mean, I can remember. I remember being alive before video games were being talked about. But basically, like, I mean, I've been playing video games since, you know, like the Atari 2600 and the Atari 400 and 800 and the ColecoVision and like all those systems came out, and so, you know, I've been and because my mom was into games, so and like nowadays, like me personally, like for me, video games are my entertainment. Like when most people, like, they'll watch a TV show, I will play a video game for an hour or 2 hours, and essentially, you know, and the games that I find myself getting the most into are the ones that are really, really well written, where they have very complex characters with very good dialogue, and you have really kind of interesting, compelling stories, and or very humorous stories in some cases. And for me, like when I'm watching like a TV show, like a normal TV show, I get kind of irritated by the fact that I can't interact with it at all. It's just sitting there, just doing its thing, you know. And I would much rather like be able to like take part, you know.
You're a take part kind of guy.
I like to learn from doing. I like to learn from seeing and then doing.
I can see you doing that.
VR capabilities are just, or imagine this, Dave. So the last the most recent aircraft carrier that the U.S. built, the Gerald Ford class, that aircraft carrier is the first naval vessel to be completely modeled out in VR, which means that, and I have video of this, which means that you can go into a room and you can pick any part of the ship, and boom, you're there. And then you can walk around and you can test and sample different parts and try to create failures to try to test for problems in the system. So you can actually visually see the pipes, and they're actually lit up in colors to indicate pressure levels. I mean, it is, as someone who's, you know, worked in data centers for a couple of decades, this is a beautiful thing, man. This is good stuff. This is where it should be going. I don't know about a UFO video game. You know, there was a recent. Okay, so that amazing director, whose name I always destroy, Guillermo. Oh, what's his name? I can never remember his name. He did like Pan's, and he did the second Hellboy movie. Anyway, that chap whose name I can never remember. He did a TV show. A cartoon. There was actually three of them. It was like a 3 different series, and it was like this really interesting cartoon about like, you know, wizards and magic and so forth. But toward the end of the series, they wrapped aliens into it, and there were these 2 aliens that basically crashed on Earth. Their ship turned into a house, to like look like a house, and like these 2 aliens yes, that is the word, that is his name. Can you help me with that, Dave? Guillermo del Toro? No,
Guillermo del Toro.
say again.
Guillermo.
Okay, Guillermo. Okay, I gotta work on that. But man, this guy, like, I mean, oof. I like very few people I'd really want to mind meld with, and he's one of them. I really adore this dude. And but it was really funny. Like, there's clips from this show that actually I should really take out and show you, Dave, because they actually deal with a lot of the stigmas around UFOs. Like, for example, there's this whole part where the two alien kids get really offended about the fact that they were called an alien, which was awesome because, you know, that whole Demi Lovato thing happened.
Hey, Mr. Eon, the voice of the gods. How are you? Evan Walters, nice to see you. Anybody else sneak through the cracks here? Go ahead.
No. Super Mario Brothers 3 did change the world.
Love Super Mario.
And, you know, and the thing is that the VR stuff, I'm trying to remember where I got this story from. I think it was Annie Jacobson. I don't remember, but anyway, when the second Gulf War happened, you know, right after when we went into Iraq after September 11th, still makes no sense. They had been in the weeks before this event doing one of the largest virtual war games ever done by the U.S. military, and basically Iraq was one of the locations. Saudi Arabia was another. There were several countries potentially involved, and essentially you're talking about VR where you literally have like warehouses full of tanks with people sitting in the tanks wearing VR goggles. Okay. And you're talking about like a lot of people, and like this was a massive operation. I don't know of any other time I've ever heard of that many people connected into one VR environment that way. But they finished that whole training thing about 6 days before the invasion started. Well, some of the people that were involved in those war games ended up being people who actually ended up physically going into combat.
Oh, wow.
And it essentially caused deja vu. It turns out the VR was done so accurately, and the AI predicted the behavior and the layout of the explosions and everything so perfectly that it actually created a surreal effect for them. They were on street corners watching explosions happen where they had just been on that same street corner 7 days earlier watching an explosion happen. And it was a big thing. And it was so accurate that then what they started doing was when certain things would happen in theater that they wanted to report to Congress, they would actually get all the information about that scene. They would recreate it in the virtual environment and replay it. So if that congressperson wanted to, they could actually stand in the street and watch the operation happen around them.
Wow.
And that swayed some votes, I guarantee it. And everything I'm talking about right now was going on in 2000. So this is 22 years ago.
No shit, eh?
22 years ago. Now, the
That's
truth
why
of the
you're
matter is,
wearing Jon Hudson, my friend.
well, I mean, I don't know if I've told you, but my last professional job, I was actually the futurist for the company. So I got into a lot of the future stuff. So yeah, so there's some pretty crazy things going on.
You're a crazy thing.
Yeah, there's actually it's amazing the things going on in the drone program. They've actually been testing the ability to actually control the drones through VR for pilots. But what they want to do is they want to try to communicate more information to the pilots, right? Because a drone is a thing, right? It's a thing. It has structure, and you can put sensors within the framework of that drone, and if you can figure out, with all the features you have in a human, how to communicate all those things. So it might be that some of those things get communicated through dings. Some of them might get communicated through heat applied to certain parts of the body. Some might get communicated via a small vibration. How you'd work this out, it gets very complicated, and you'd have to work it out. But the kind of the nut of it is that they succeeded in getting one human to control multiple drones. Now, how this worked is that if you had, say, 5 drones in flight, 4 drones would be put into kind of like automated flight mode. And then 1 drone you focus on, and that's the one you can then control. Then when you relinquish control, that one goes back to automated flight control, and you take over another one. But the program of the overall flight control is also controlled by you. So you have the control over the general flight model, but you can focus on specific models and interfere with them and so forth. They some reason found that over 5, the human mind seems to degrade in capabilities. But that's not the important part of the story. The important part of the story is one of the lovely individuals that was in the program, after a certain amount of time, I don't know how long it takes. My guess, based on personal experience, would be it would only take a couple of days. His brain started mapping.
I thought you were going to say melting.
Mapping itself to the drone. So he started associating his feet with the tail of the drone. He started to associate his arms, and so when the drone would get injured in a certain part, that's where he would imagine it coming. And so there was it didn't get very far, at least not what was reported, but what this is hinting at is a whole new science that is going to change the bloody world, where we actually start creating these incredible analogous interfaces where we can start actually getting a sense for how the remote object feels where it is. Is it windy? Don't check it, feel for it. Does it feel windy? Right? Like that's the point. That's where we're getting to. It's so damn cool.
And on that note, my friend, I got to say goodnight.
Oh, one quick more thing, because this is about God of War. Actually, a good friend of mine, Stig, he was actually the creator of that, and the whole reason why the character is bald was because he's bald, and Stig is the creator of the God of War. Yeah, and he's a friend of mine.
All right, brother. I got to run here because I got to get upstairs, make sure my kid is okay.
Yeah, good dad stuff. Good dad stuff. And thanks everyone for hanging out.
Big thank you tonight to Worsley, Linda, Cat Chaser, Jeremy, Bob, Kira, Thomas ×2, and Mennonite Abe for the super chats. And let us say that we will be back tomorrow night. Sean Forker is our guest. We're getting into the cryptid world with him. It's kind of fun watching a skeptic turn believer. So we'll get tomorrow night. We're going to get to the trumpets now. Good night, John.
Good night, Dave.